It was a girl, I'm sure. But yeah, so just real quickly, though, she took down one of our best players, and we had to call an ambulance. What? And when I say take down, this girl, Kat, I love her so much, and she fights. You know, she's short, but she's scrappy, and she's awesome. She plays with 100% heart. And she went up to try and block her, and the woman, number 3, I don't know, I'll just call her woman, slammed her down on her back. And I thought, oh, dear Lord. Oh, my. And she couldn't breathe, and she wasn't moving. I thought, this is not going to be good. So the other coach and I, we ran up to her, and we had her breathing, and she was just trembling because she got the wind knocked out of her.
Yeah, so she just in shock a little bit.
Yeah, it was, but her glasses went flying.
It's a tough game.
No, you have
not for the faint of heart.
You are coming to our next game. It's next Tuesday, 4:30 at Blaine.
I know. I'm going to have to guard that 6-foot woman on the other team, apparently.
Oh, she was a beast. And so is that appropriate to say? I mean, I say with love in my heart that she's a beast of a player, meaning she's an excellent player.
Yeah.
Fast, agility. She's got the jump shot down. She's got the layups down. She could steal.
But not a lot of 6'1" 5th grade girls out there.
No, there aren't. And that's
sure
why
you're not exaggerating. This is like Beowulf, like the mythological tale.
My little girls walked into the gym and said, "Uh-oh, Coach Amy, this isn't going to be good." I said, "No, don't look at the other team. Just focus down here. Don't look at them. There's nothing to see over there. Just keep going through your warm-ups."
Yeah.
But then I changed the defense a little bit. So I had 2 and 2, and I had one person on her the whole time, and we only held her to 5 points in the second half. So that was good.
I mean, what was the final score? She had 16.
16-6 was the final score.
So you got blown out.
Yeah. Well, no, but we played really well. We didn't look bad. I mean, it was just that one player on the other team was so good. And then I was trying to get her fouled out, so I told the girls, who plays soccer here? Raise your hand. And everybody played soccer. So what do you do in soccer? Well, there's a lot of drama involved in soccer, you know.
There's a lot of drama involved in this 5th and 6th grade girls basketball
And so I
team.
said, when she runs into you and try to fall down like you do in soccer, I want a little drama. And so we got our drama. Oh, yeah, we got our drama. But she only had 4 fouls, so I couldn't get her fouled out of the game. But it was very, very competitive. Very, you will be.
It doesn't sound very competitive.
No, it was competitive.
Sounds like you were dominated by one player. That's what it sounds like.
It was fun. So you've got to come on Tuesday. We have 5 games left. So your choice is Tuesday or Thursday. It starts at 4:30.
Now, I may, if I come to the game and see things I don't like, I may take over the team. Just so you guys know. I may come out from the stands and say that
yeah.
Coach Jacobson, what's the other coach's name?
Stikes.
They've had enough. All right, girls, let's bring it in. We're going to play some basketball tonight. So I'm just saying, you're forewarned if I do attend.
And it's a running clock, so it goes by quick. So you need to show up on time because it's over as soon as it begins.
Speaking of coming out of the stands, Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk a little presidential politics. Donald Trump at one of his signature rallies in Burlington, Vermont, and, offering his kind of rambling reviews on the passing scene, which is what he does at those rallies. I mean, that's what he does. People apparently like it, at least the thousands of Trump supporters that show up.
20,000 showed up last night.
Which is the entire state population of Vermont.
There was only room for 1,400. So, you know what he did? He had interns and people on his staff walk through the line and ask people if they're a Trump supporter or not, and said, what are your feelings about him? Are you here because you hate him, or are you here because you're an anarchist? Are you here because you're a Democrat and you're a liberal? Because Burlington, Vermont is the most liberal city in America, I really think.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Well, I mean,
it's up there with Chicago.
Obviously, they elected Bernie Sanders, so that says a lot.
Right. So, and then they chose 1,400 of those people, but a lot of them got in line at 3 in the afternoon for an event that started at 7 p.m. Look at this spectacle. I printed this for you. It's just unbelievable. It's people holding KKK signs.
Yeah, all you're right.
Nationalism is fascism signs. Darth Vader was there.
It's a phenomenon, and the phenomenon is not letting up. But among those that attended or snuck in, included some protesters, and in classic Trump fashion, when they started making a ruckus, Trump had something to say to them too.
Now, I will tell you something about the protesters, and I respect what they're doing, but I really believe, unless they have a substance abuse problem, which is probably there. He does. He definitely does.
That guy
That's
over there is high. He's probably had it right.
That's good.
And this was intermittent throughout his remarks because the protests would bubble up. I mean, there's a handful of protesters would bubble up, but they'd make enough noise for Trump to get Trump's attention, and so he'd respond. And so this happened. Then he'd go back to his talk. Then it happens again.
And I actually said, I could take these. Most of them are kids. Oh, are they talking back? I don't even hear them. Their voice is so weak. I don't even hear them. Is this? Okay, you can get them out. Yeah, get them out.
This is amazing.
Thank you, darling. I love my people. They say my people are the most loyal of anybody. I can do anything. They say that.
What an interesting statement. What a telling statement. I can do anything. My people are the most loyal people. I can do anything. Is that true, Trump supporters? 312-642-5600, the turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Of course, you can email or text us by downloading our mobile app, AM560 mobile app as well. Is that true? Are you so loyal to Trump that he can do anything? And it continued where Trump, as you started to hear there, had enough of some of the protesters and
you know what that sounds like? A fifth grade girls basketball game.
Yeah, well, there was
screaming.
A lot of tension. It's just all these Trump rallies. I talked to a friend of mine who went to this Trump rally back in December.
In Springfield?
No, Charleston, South Carolina. And the Yorktown, the USS Yorktown. What an interesting venue for that. And I mean, he's kind of a Trump supporter, but he's open-minded. But it was just such a spectacle. It's such an event. People want to be there. So it's like the Torpedo of Truth tour to some extent. But so Trump was starting to usher them out, and then he had some parting words for some of the protesters as well. This is rather delicious, actually.
There may be a remnant. Oh, no, it's only the same people coming down the stairs. No, there's a remnant. Yeah, he's right there. Okay. Yeah, throw him out. Throw him out into the cold. Don't give them their coat. No coats. No coats. Confiscate their coat. You can't win. By the way, just to finish, I had one word left, Iraq.
I love it. Throw them out. Confiscate their coats. That does sound a little dictatorial, maybe. But it's fun. I like the fact that he tosses people. Yeah, take their coats, throw them out in the Burlington, Vermont cold.
It's the WWE political style. I mean, he's got rock style size crowds, and all they want to do is yell. I mean, is anybody even listening to what he's saying?
Oh, I think so. He gets reaction from some of his applause lines, which are almost every line. It seems to be an applause line at these Trump rallies, but it's just high entertainment. It really is. I don't know.
He's starting to grow on you.
He's not growing on me.
Yes, he is.
Not as the Republican nominee, but he has served a useful purpose. And I've been saying this for a while now, even though I'm not a Trump supporter, and it continues. Taking on the elites and the establishment elites of both parties who've had their turns at the wheel over the last couple decades. And where do we find ourselves? Not in a great position for a wide swath of Americans, particularly middle-income families in this country. And Trump is saying they're all wet, and he is intimidated by no one. Go pound sand if you don't like what I have to say. This is what I believe is true, and I'm saying it in an unvarnished way. And if you come at me, I'm going to respond to you just like a human being would, as opposed to one of these windblown politicians. That has great appeal. The other thing that's really interesting about Trump, because part of that rally he spent talking about how smart he was.
Of course.
and the great gene pool that was in attendance at his rally. But part of it is he's the anti-Mitt Romney. Here's somebody, he doesn't only embrace his success, what he thinks are his winning characteristic traits, but he
flaunts it in people's faces.
Well, that's right. But I've done these things. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. I mean, he takes it to hyperbolic levels. But the idea that just should be a message to Republican candidates, whether you're very wealthy or not. embrace your successes in life and be honest about your failures and be honest about your opinions. If Trump serves nothing other than that purpose, then he's been a candidacy well worth it.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Well, low clouds, some morning fog, rain and drizzle throughout the day, a high of 42 degrees. Then tomorrow morning, it arrives. We're going to have fog, then showers and rain. That's going to turn into snow. Storm totals anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. Highs in the upper 30s. And on Sunday morning, we have the snow and the cold. A morning flurry, otherwise windy. A lot cooler, a high of 20 degrees. Sunday night into Monday, 6 degrees. In the single digits we go. Let's go to the roadways and see if there's any traffic tie-ups. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Right now, the precipitation is a factor. It figures to slow the morning commute, though right now, traffic volume is still light. It's getting a little heavy on the inbound Rhine approaching downtown, and as usual on the inbound Bishop Ford approaching the merge, but no heavy delays are reported yet. There is road work on the Tri-State Tollway, northbound from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower in the left lane, and a right lane to the Bensonville Bridge past Irving Park. Southbound, there's work in the right lane from the Irving Park Toll to the Bensonville Bridge. Some ramps are narrowed. We're not seeing any significant delays in that area or anywhere else. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
This weekend, as I just mentioned, we're going to have temperatures in the single digits, 6 degrees. So you want to know where it's going to be warm and sunny for the next 5 months, Dan?
How about Los Cabos?
Yes, that's where we're headed, April 2nd through April 9th, Saturday to Saturday. We'll be staying at the Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort. It's an all-inclusive, adults-only, all-suites resort that have ocean views. It opened in December of 2013, so it's pretty new. It's nice. I visited this place, Dan. You're going to love it. You're going to love your room, your well-appointed room.
Yes.
It has 8 restaurants, 4 bars. But your favorite thing, the 2 sparkling pools and the access to 3 miles of pristine beaches.
Absolutely.
But your favorite's going to be the 2 9-hole golf courses designed by Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. It's on the property. You don't even have to take a cab.
I like taking romantic walks on the beach by myself, as well as on the golf course.
So join us in Cabo. Get more information and book your trip by visiting 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. The price that Apple Vacations has secured for this trip is incredible and exclusive only to us. So don't miss out. Take a long walk on the beach with Dan. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. And right now, you can win a trip for 2 to Cabo. Here's what you do. Download the AM 560 The Answer mobile app, and you could register for your chance to win an all-expenses-paid trip to Secrets Los Cabos, Mexico. You click on the Enter to Win banner to register. The contest ends January 29th at 9 a.m.
Imagine what you would do if your business had a surplus of utility savings. More than 30% of your building's annual energy use comes from your heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system. Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical service provider, understands that you have better things to do with your money. There are new energy incentives offered by Chicagoland's largest utility provider that could help your business save hundreds, even thousands of dollars every month in utility costs. As a preferred partner, Air Comfort works closely with your business. They will identify the opportunities to reduce energy usage, select, purchase, and install equipment, and even help you complete and submit your incentive paperwork. Start saving on your utilities by calling now for your free consultation at 708-345-1900. That's 708-345-1900 or online at aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935.
Christmas and the New Year are over. It's time to think a little about yourself. Maybe treat yourself to a MyPillow. I'm Joe Walsh, and I have slept better for years with MyPillow. If you've procrastinated, don't put it off. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for my listeners who use the promo code Joe, you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer. It's so important. Get a great night's sleep. MyPillow helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, and allergies. Plus, it's washable, keeps its shape, and gives you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, visit MyPillow.com or call 1-800-489-0201 and use that promo code Joe. Do it now, 1-800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Joe, 1-800-489-0201. one.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Dan and Amy, talking about Trump. The other useful purpose Trump is serving as a candidate, even if you don't support Trump, is he has taken the fight to the hillbilly House of Cards couple there, Hillary and Bill Clinton, Inc.
He played some ad during his event last night in
He's got like a little Instagram
Vermont.
video that links Bill Clinton to Bill Cosby and Anthony Weiner.
No, yeah, it's Hillary Clinton next to Anthony Weiner, and
Yeah.
then there's pictures of her next to Bill Cosby, and
Yeah.
and next to this guy, her husband. I don't know if she's
Right.
familiar with him.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
That
And
arranged marriage.
now, there are obviously distinctions between Bill Clinton and Bill Cosby, for example. One, Bill Cosby was not impeached. And I think the other distinction is about 42 women
Really?
at last count.
You're right, but he's trying to get across that she enabled her husband.
Oh, I don't think that takes a lot of convincing. And the other thing that's happening is Bill Clinton, he's had to return to his posture as the Artful Dodger.
Oh yeah, Christian Welker from NBC News asked him 3 times yesterday about his past, and he just kept changing the subject.
It
First
wasn't.
it was Cecilia Vega, then Christine Welkener.
It wasn't just him. There was a gaggle of reporters
Oh.
following him and asking him about Juanita Broderick because she has resurfaced saying that 38 or what was it? She's
79.
38 years later. 38 years after she alleges she was raped by Bill Clinton, she hasn't forgotten about it. And Bill Clinton was asked about that and didn't have an answer.
Trump is again today making an issue of your past transgressions. Do you want to respond? And are you worried that your past could hurt your wife's campaign?
I don't have any response. If he wins the Republican nomination, we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. If Hillary wins, I think I have no interest in getting involved in their politics or doing anything except trying to help Hillary.
What's your reaction to Juanita Broderick's reelection? Mr. President, he says you're radical. Do you get a lot of reaction to Juanita Broderick's reemergence?
He said a lot of things.
What's your reaction to Juanita
I
Broderick?
have no response. I have no response. It's really good
Wow.
stuff to see, Bill Clinton under a little bit of assault in a way that he hasn't, as we've tried to allow his despicable behavior to just recede into the past. Well, Donald Trump has brought it all back, and Hillary Clinton prompted Donald Trump bringing it all back. And Trump has played this beautifully and probably more courageously than the Republican Party or other Republican candidates would have if Donald Trump wasn't in the race. If only Charles Dickens was still alive to write about Bill Clinton.
Does Bill Clinton, when he was president, did reporters ask him questions all the time about Monica Lewinsky?
Well, they did when he was.
they during that time, but
during the
after
impeachment.
that, they just let him alone.
Well, right,
They left him
because
alone because they didn't want to. I don't know what, stir the pot again.
No, it was about rehabilitating his image, and let's all recall the halcyon years of Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in the White House. Well, what Donald Trump is reminding the public and maybe those who weren't alive or weren't paying attention during the Clinton years is, those golden years weren't so golden.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Home Building and Remodeling Expo that Bob Vila promotes is coming to the Lake County Fairgrounds January 16th and 17th. If you're looking to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or maybe get a new roof, flooring, windows, or insulation, then this is the event for you. At this 2-day expo, you'll meet local and national contractors displaying their products and services. Get fresh ideas, arrange estimates, and talk directly with contractors, many of which are offering huge discounts. Maybe you need a new furnace or handyman. You'll find everything you need under one roof. Increase the value of your home and impress your friends and family by getting the hottest updates. Special announcement. Design expert Kelly Edwards of HGTV's Design on a Dime will be presenting both Saturday and Sunday from noon to 1 p.m. and giving away cash and prizes. Remember the Home Building and Remodeling Expo January 16th and 17th at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake. Get more information at homeshowevent.com. That's homeshowevent.com.
You did it. That's right. Because of your generosity and support of our annual Feed the Children campaign, we were able to reach our goal of feeding over 18,000 children this holiday season, real families with real needs that you have helped to meet. And we especially want to thank the many business benefactors who've stepped up in a huge way. When you hear their advertisements on the station in the coming months, we encourage you to support them as a way of saying thanks for their generosity. And just because we met our goal, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Hunger's still a real challenge. So please continue to support Feed the Children with a tax-deductible gift of any amount at any time. Just go to feedthechildren.org. And thanks again from all of us here at AM 560, The Answer. And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Off teleprompter, Obama babbles his way through a town hall on guns, but thank goodness that the American sniper's widow is there. We'll have both of them at 5:35.
And does Michelle Obama want a gun? The president answers that question. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Fog and 38 degrees from Europe this morning. The Brussels prosecutor office says a December raid discovered 3 homemade belts that officials say could have been used to transport explosives for the deadly Paris attacks. Investigators also found fingerprints matching one of the bombers, Salah Abdel Salam, a fugitive wanted in connection with the attacks. It doesn't make any sense. That's Philadelphia Police Commissioner Richard Ross summing up an ambush-style shooting of a police officer late last night. Patrolman Jesse Hartnett was shot 3 times as he sat in a patrol car. The commissioner says suspects fired 13 times into the officer's car for no apparent reason. The suspect has been apprehended. Part of South Korea's response to the North's latest nuclear test comes on what's believed to be the birthday of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. South Korea began propaganda broadcast of anti-Pyongyang news items across the rivals' tense border today. Meantime, Secretary of State John Kerry says China's approach to neighboring North Korea has failed.
Now, China had a particular approach that it wanted to make, and we agreed and respected to give them space to be able to implement that. But in my conversation with the Chinese, I made it very clear that has not worked, and we cannot continue business as usual.
Meantime, Chinese stocks have been volatile today, but on the upside, other Asian markets are also rebounding after a plunge in Chinese prices. The Shanghai Composite Index finishing its trading day up 2.4%. President Obama vows not to campaign or vote for any political candidate who does not back what he calls common sense gun reform. He made the assurance in an op-ed for the New York Times and spoke out at a town hall meeting on CNN.
I'm going to throw my shoulders behind folks who want to actually solve problems instead of just getting a high score from an interest group.
In an article, the president called gun violence an epidemic and one of the top threats to public health and safety. A bus strike could spoil the party as Phoenix gears up for Monday's college football championship game. The bus drivers union announced a strike after rejecting a proposed contract. Authorities say a flight from New York to Chicago was diverted to Detroit Metro due to a disruptive passenger. The United Airlines flight 3461 landed around 8 Thursday night at the airport in Romulus, a suburb of Detroit. Plane from LaGuardia had 69 passengers and 4 crew on board. Later, it continued on to O'Hare. And classes are expected to resume later today at Lane Tech after a bomb scare yesterday afternoon. Chicago sports. Derrick Rose 18 and the Bulls win over Boston 101-92. The Illini fall to 0-3 after dropping one to Michigan State 79-54. The news service of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. For victims of drunk driving, their grief is unique. But you are not alone. MAD is here to help. Call their 24-hour victim helpline 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org, madd.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
I believe in the Second Amendment. It's there written on the paper.
It's over there on that piece of paper.
The Joe Walsh Show.
The guy doesn't give a damn about the Second Amendment. He can't even say the word Constitution. He can't even say it's right there in the Bill of Rights. It's right there in the United States Constitution. This son of a gun can't even say that.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remodel your kitchen or bath with Galaxy and get free installation, free design, and free financing. Call Galaxy at 773-783-8300 or schedule online at galaxyhome.com.
What would an extra $250 a month mean to you? For some, it's a little financial breathing room. For others, it's a car payment, a home repair, or help with college tuition. Hi, I'm Jay Farner, president of Quicken Loans, and I've got some great news if you're looking to save money on your mortgage. All it takes is a simple phone call to Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. Folks who refinance with HARP can save an average of $250 a month. That's $3,000 a year. Our home loan experts fully understand the HARP guidelines, and they'll walk you through our streamlined process. And for 6 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
536 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Roads are wet with the precipitation in the area. Lost some extra following distance. Southbound on the Tri-State Tollway at the Grand Avenue curve, the right lane is blocked with some metal debris. There's also some ongoing construction in that area between Irving Park Toll Plaza and Roosevelt. There's construction, and for part of that stretch, the right lane is closed. There's also work northbound in the Reagan Tollway and past Irving Park with a couple of different lane closures. It's now slow on the inbound Bishop Ford Freeway, Cottage Grove to the Rhine, a 1 or 2 minute delay. The inbound Rhine has a 5-minute delay coming into downtown Chicago. No significant delays to report yet on the Edens, the Kennedy or the Eisenhower. Inbound Stevenson just a little heavy past Cicero. Traffic is a service of the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council. Understanding your finances is a key to a strong financial future. Don't be the one who gets left behind. Visit feedthepig.org for tools and tips to get started on the path to financial stability. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Low clouds and fog, rain and drizzle in the forecast, high 42. 37 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Property Tax Show, Saturdays at 6 p.m., hosted by Brad Hayes, Chicagoland's property tax expert.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Gloria Vanderbilt's kid hosted a town hall, CNN town hall.
Heyo.
President Obama. This was after an op-ed penned by Barack Obama. And I say by Barack Obama because, as you may remember, he's a better writer than his writers. He's a better policy guy than his policy guys. He's the best at everything that ever lived. He writes in the New York Times, the epidemic of gun violence in our country is a crisis. All of us have a role to play, including gun owners. The title of the piece, Guns Are Shared Responsibility. Is gun ownership a shared responsibility or an individual right? And thus an individual responsibility, as my friend Pastor Ed Bryant, the gun safety guy, would say. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636DA. Turnkey.pro text line, and you can download our mobile app, AM560 mobile app, to email or text us as well. It's an important foundational point. Is this a shared responsibility? Thus, it's no one's responsibility. It's like public property. We all own it, so no one owns it.
It takes a village.
Right. Or is it an individual right and the individual responsibility correspondent to that individual right? That's a big question. He then goes after in the op-ed, as he did last night in the town hall, the gun industry. The gun industry needs to be a part of it. It's the manufacturers. A child can't open a bottle of aspirin.
Right.
Shouldn't be able to pull a trigger.
Well, that's why we have seatbelts in cars or safety measures.
Mm-hmm.
And Father Flager suggested that we need a title for a gun just as if you need a title for a car.
I suggest that Father Flager be defrocked. At a time when manufacturers are enjoying soaring profits, the president writes, they should invest in research to make guns smarter and safer, like developing microstamping for ammunition and to trace bullets and the like. All of us
I could use that in my neighborhood.
Yes. You're
I
on
have
the
some
case.
shell casings in my Ziploc bag.
Send them to Quantico.
Okay.
Colombo. All of us need to demand leaders brave enough to stand up to the gun lobby's lies. This is the president bringing people together. Change will be hard. It won't happen overnight. Listen to this comparison. But securing a woman's right to vote didn't happen overnight. The liberation of African Americans didn't happen overnight. Advancing the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans has taken decades worth of work. So he's
comparing guns to social movements.
His flimsy executive orders and tired anti-gun rhetoric, he compares to women's suffrage, the end of slavery and institutional discrimination, and the redefinition of marriage. And people call Donald Trump unhinged.
I mean, this guy is such a total pussy. It's stunning.
It is stunning.
It is.
Ralph Peters is right.
But I enjoyed last night, I have to tell you.
Did you?
I really did. And so this may be the end of our friendship.
It
was short-lived.
You live a sad, desperate life. That you have nothing better to do than watch that on a Thursday evening.
Yeah, I don't have anything better to do because I was done with, making a murderer, so I had to watch something else to cleanse my palate. And I just, I loved the tone of the town hall. People weren't screaming. It seemed like a civilized conversation. Even though I don't agree with what he said, I learned more about why he cared, about why he cries, and about why he does what he does.
I ain't gonna get.
Oh, and that's not it?
I think a lot of people were surprised by that moment.
Here we go.
I was too, actually.
Okay, Stuart Smalley.
I visited Newtown 2 days after what happened, so it was still very raw. It's the only time I've ever seen Secret Service cry on duty. And it wasn't just the parents. You had siblings, 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 3-year-olds, who in some cases didn't even understand that their brother or sister weren't going to be coming home.
So here's the deal. What you just said and what you just heard from President Obama is an important point, because what is this about? It's about President Obama. This is all about him.
It's cathartic for him. It's his way to. I just think as somebody, because I personally have seen a lot of corpses and bodies and just being on the streets for 18 years and covering crimes, dismembered people. It's you need to grieve with them because they're sharing their stories with you and their grief, and it's so overwhelming that I think that he felt a need to go out and do something for these people.
Yeah. I think he feels the need to morally preen before the American public and indulge in the kind of navel gazing that you just heard with Anderson Cooper playing the mirror to President Obama. I mean, that's really what this is.
And Newtown was not about, those guns were purchased legally. And again, Newtown is about mental illness and about a mother enabling her son.
Well,
instead of turning him into mental health professionals.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. He said background. I mean, so this is when now he's off teleprompter here, so he has to come up with his own thoughts and his own efforts at logical reasoning, and he kind of failed on that front. He said that background checks would help, while commenting that gang members buy guns illegally. Okay, and he mentioned that of the 30,000 people lost to violence, as we've said here, 60% of those are suicides. Background checks won't stop a gang member if you want to blow your brains out, that's sad, but at least you've had a background check. I mean, is that the takeaway?
Yeah.
So, and then he also brought up Newtown and said the shooter used guns that weren't his, didn't have a record, and wouldn't have been stopped by a background check. This is what prompted Taya Kyle. You know Taya Kyle. She is Mrs. Chris Kyle. She is the widow of American Sniper. She was there. And thank God she was.
That surprised me, wasn't it? I mean,
it was great.
It was wonderful.
And thank God she was. Well, I mean, her husband was shot and killed, right, by a veteran suffering from PTSD. And thank God Mrs. Kyle was there because she brought some sense to the discussion.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to come here. And I think that your message of hope is something I agree with. And I think it's great. And I think that by creating new laws, you do give people hope. The thing is that the laws that we create don't stop these horrific things from happening, right? And that's a very tough pill to swallow.
Right.
We want to think that we can make a law and people will follow it. But by the very nature of their crime, they're not following it. By the very nature of looking at the people who hurt our loved ones here, I don't know that any of them would have been stopped by the background check. And yet, I crave that desire for hope too. And so I think part of it, we have to recognize that we cannot outlaw murder, because the people who are murdering, right, they're breaking the law, but they also don't have a moral code that we have. And so they could do the same amount of damage with a pipe bomb. The problem is that they want to murder. And I'm wondering why it wouldn't be a better use of our time to give people hope in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cogent. I mean, she said outlaw murder. She, of course, means you don't stop murder by just having a law on the books. And she talked about the moral compass or the moral code. So this is so important because the entire movement of the left, punctuated by President Obama, is to say that we as human beings don't make moral judgments. Anything goes. Everything goes. Everything's equal in terms of viewpoint, unless you're a member of the NRA. Then you're a bad person, which President Obama spent a lot of time talking about, both in his op-ed and the town hall. I mean, it's always going to be politicized by Obama. It's Republicans, it's the NRA, so forth.
It's gun lobbyists, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah,
it's
blah.
the evil, right, the evil gun lobby. But here's the thing about moral judgments. What separates us from animals? The use of cutlery? Yes.
Yes.
But on a more profound, yes, on a more profound level, it's sapience, wisdom. Our consciousness, human consciousness, is what separates us from animals. And attendant to that is making moral judgments. So to the extent that you don't make moral judgments about things is the extent to which you become less human. Less human. And I think that's what Taya Kyle was attempting to speak to, and I think she did very well. And the president just kind of muddled through comments that were offered by that to get to the...
He looked like he was afraid of her.
Well, he should be.
Which was good. Oh,
because
yeah.
she could take him apart.
Yeah.
But he just muddled through those kind of comments, those kind of thoughtful comments that demand equally thoughtful responses.
I wonder if he ever met her before, if he ever even called her after he was killed.
Well, he was just busy,
Thanks for your husband's service to our country.
Right. I have to listen to her, but I really want to hear, Michael Flager.
Father Flager.
Just be an echo chamber. That's what he was really interested in. This was just an infomercial for Obama.
Well, there was another woman in the crowd who is just as strong and powerful, rape survivor who went on to get married and have children, and she wants to buy a gun to protect herself, especially when the guy gets out of jail. And she asked Obama straight up this question.
Michelle and I are then campaigning out in Iowa.
Oh, that is the wrong. Hold on. Stand by. Did you see that part with the rape survivor?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Here it is.
Why can't your administration see that these restrictions that you're putting to make it harder for me to own a gun or harder for me to take that where I need to be is actually just making my kids and I less safe?
There's nothing that we've proposed that would make it harder for you to purchase a firearm.
Then what's the point of your proposals?
Exactly. Then why are we here?
We're here.
You're scaring me. You're scaring my children. I need a gun to protect myself.
We're all here, just as we all exist in this country, so that President Obama can tell us how great and how morally superior he is, although we don't make moral judgments.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Lots going on in the weather department. We have rain and drizzle on and off throughout the day, a high of 42 degrees. But the big story is tonight into tomorrow, the snow is going to start, rain turning into snow. Totals 1 to 3 inches, depending on where you live, and a high of 38 degrees. And on Sunday, we're going to have morning flurries, otherwise windy, colder, with variable clouds, a high of 20 degrees. And the low Sunday night into Monday, we go into the single digits. It's going to be 6 degrees. Let's see if there's any better news on the roadways. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Well, Amy, there is a crash on the outbound Kennedy at Montrose. 3 left lanes are blocked. Traffic is backing up. The delays start around Irving Park. It's about 24 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Inbound okay aside from the wet roadways. Eden's looking good for now. Inbound Eisenhower just a little heavy past Mannheim. Inbound Stevenson, there's some slowing from Pulaski and Kedzie. Inbound Ryan has a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson into downtown Chicago. Bishop Ford, 1 or 2 minute delay approaching the merge. Tollways look good. Some road work on the Tri-State is wrapping up between Roosevelt and the Irving Park Toll Plaza. Some work going on in both directions. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com. If you suffer from depression, consider TMS, an incredible new advancement in treating and relieving depression. Medications may not work and can cause serious side effects.
I'm Jim Marks, a medical director at Theramind Services and a board-certified psychiatrist for over 22 years. If you or someone you love suffers from depression, TMS can change your life. I've witnessed its transformative results in my patients for years.
TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a safe, non-invasive, and highly effective treatment for drug-resistant depression. Over 50,000 patients have been helped by TMS. Most insurance companies cover TMS, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. Schedule a free consultation with Theramind, with locations throughout Chicagoland. If you suffer from depression, do something about it. Call Theramind, 847-562-5868, or go to tmsmind.com.
Imagine your life 5 years from now. Are you on the path you want to be on? It's time to take control of your future by getting a world-class education from one of the nation's top universities. Arizona State University is now offering over 100 top-tier degree programs 100% online. It's the exact same degree our on-campus students receive, but you can learn from anywhere in the country on your own schedule. For information, call 1-800-577-6026. Learn from ASU's world-renowned faculty and use ASU's global recognition to improve your visibility, professional network, and gain real-world experience you can start using today. The Wall Street Journal ranked ASU 5th in the nation for producing the best qualified graduates. Now discover how ASU Online can stand out on your resume and help separate you from the competition. We're ready to help you learn to thrive in your life, in your career, and beyond. To learn more about ASU online degrees, call 1-800-577-6026. That's 1-800-577-6026.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so what about Michelle Obama? Is she trying to move from arming herself with a Twitter account to arming herself with a weapon?
Yeah, well, she came up, her name came up, and President Obama was talking about, you know what, Michelle Obama at one point in time asked or thought about owning a weapon.
Michelle and I are then campaigning out in Iowa, and we're going to farms and we're going to counties. And at one point, Michelle turned to me and she said, you know, if I was living in a farmhouse where the sheriff's department's pretty far away, and somebody can just turn off the highway and come up to the farm, I'd want to have a shotgun or a rifle to make sure that I was protected, my family was protected.
Hey, President Obama, I got a follow-up. How about if you're living in the neighborhood you used to live in Chicago, Kenwood, and Hadia Pendleton gets shot and killed 2 blocks from your house? You think you'd want a weapon then? What a clown. This guy. Bill on the south. I knew you would love that. Bill on the south side. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Bill.
Bill.
Violence is done by registered Democrats. How come Obama never talks about that?
Oh, I'm sorry, but we missed that first part. Say that again.
I said the majority of gun violence is done by registered Democrats. It's a study's been done, and it's a proven fact.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Well, I'll tell you this. Here's something we know. 32,000 deaths a year in the U.S. That are associated with gun violence, and this is from the Centers for Disease Control. As I said, 60% suicides, 3% accidental, 4% justified, 33% of homicides are homicides, but of that, 80% of the homicides are gang-related. So when you really break down the numbers, and every life matters, but I'm just giving some context here, 1,712 people in a society of 320 million. I mean, in terms of, kind of instances where you have legal, otherwise law-abiding citizens who are obtaining their guns through the legal means. Just some contextual information.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's another new year and a time where you make that same resolution to hit the gym and get back into shape. It's easy. Pick your choice. The local gym in a strip mall near your house where there's never enough machines and muscle heads, or the overrated health club that lures you in with small monthly membership fees but ends up charging you a huge initiation fee. They could care less if you ever work out again and only want your automatic monthly payments. Make a different resolution this year. Check out Steel Horse Athletics in Palatine, the northwest suburb's newly remodeled 50,000 square foot facility. This state-of-the-art club is for the entire family. You'll find bodybuilding, fitness classes, swimming pool, and the indoor soccer arena Step Ahead Sports that has the hottest futsal leagues. There's no long-term contracts and no high prices. Ask for the Patriot Discount, where you'll receive 10% off the first year. Call 847-616-8900 or visit steelhorse.fitness.com. That's steelhorse.fitness.com.
You know the story of Hansel and Gretel, where Hansel left breadcrumbs on the trail so they could find their way back home? That's what you do when you use public Wi-Fi, or shop online, or give out your social security number at your doctor's office or the bank. You leave breadcrumbs on the trail for someone to possibly steal your identity and take everything you own. At LifeLock, we use proprietary technology to detect signs that someone has picked up your breadcrumbs to take what's yours. And unlike free credit monitoring services that only alert you, we have a dedicated resolution staff to help clean things up if all those breadcrumbs get messy. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But with LifeLock, you can keep doing the things you do every day and feel better protected. Isn't it time to help protect yourself from someone eating your financial lunch? Plans start at $9.99 a month. Right now, you can get 10% off. Go to lifelock.com and enter promo code NEWS.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Ted Cruz takes on a dreamer at an Iowa town hall. We'll have it at 6:06.
And Donald Trump wants Ted Cruz to do something strange. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, Lane Tech High School declared safe after a bomb threat yesterday. A trooper charged in the Sandra Bland case will appeal his firing. Black firefighters want the U.S. to review the Chicago Fire Department. We'll tell you why. Low clouds and fog with occasional rain and drizzle in your forecast today. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The president says what the NRA is saying about him is imaginary fiction.
Obama's trying to take away your guns.
He calls his executive order to expand background checks to online and gun show sales common sense.
There's a reason why the NRA is not here. They're just down the street.
Telling a CNN town hall forum he wants a debate on the facts. American sniper widow Taya Kyle countered.
By the very nature of looking at the people who hurt our loved ones here, I don't know that any of them would have been stopped by the background check.
Investigators in Belgium say an apartment search last month may have been a bomb factory for the Paris attacks. They also found a fingerprint matching Salah Abdeslam, one of the attackers, still on the loose despite a Europe-wide manhunt. 2 terror busts here in America. An Iraqi arrested in California is accused of traveling to Syria to fight with terror groups. The other case is in Texas.
Omar al-Hardan, an Iraqi-born Palestinian, is charged with attempting to provide material and resources to ISIS. They say he had contact with ISIS through 2014 and lied about having weapons training.
Fox's Patricia Stark. A bunch more of Hillary Clinton's private emails from her time as Secretary of State were released overnight. Fox's Rachel Sutherland, live in Washington.
Of the more than 1,200 emails in this latest release, 66 were deemed classified at some level. All but one has been labeled confidential, the lowest level of classification. The total number of classified emails found on Clinton's personal server has risen to more than 1,300 with this latest release. The State Department says none of the emails now marked classified was labeled as such at the time they were sent. Dave.
Rachel, stocks in China rose overnight, and that could ease some fears on Wall Street. Futures are up for the Dow, though it's dropped 900 points this week, making some investors nervous, but not this one in Boston.
I'm in for the long term. I'm an investor for 20 years, and so I'll just stay invested, and in 20 years it won't matter.
The jobs report could affect the market. It's expected 200,000 people were hired last month. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Fog and 38 degrees, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities say a flight from New York to Chicago diverted to Detroit Metropolitan Airport due to a disruptive passenger. United Flight 3461 did arrive finally at O'Hare about an hour and 30 minutes late. Classes resuming at Lane Tech High School after a bomb scare. Police were called to the school around 5:30 yesterday. A sweep was done. The threat was ruled out, but there will be extra security on hand today. The attorney for the Texas state trooper charged with perjury in the arrest of Sandra Bland says his client is appealing his termination. Larkin Eakin said the termination of Trooper Brian Insinia, announced by the Texas Department of Public Safety, is unwarranted. Meantime, the family of Sandra Bland says they have no confidence with the criminal justice system in Waller County, Texas. The latest on the family reaction from AM 560's David Stewart.
Sandra Bland died in a jail cell last July, 3 days after being arrested when a traffic stop escalated. That death ruled as suicide. There are no charges against any jail personnel, and the arresting trooper, Brian Insinia, was charged only with misdemeanor perjury for lying on his report of the incident. Bland's mother, Geneva Reed Veal, says that doesn't inspire confidence in the prosecutors.
I don't trust the process. You've got one person who is the same person that said that my daughter was not a model citizen. And I'm supposed to trust that he can't be the one prosecuting the case.
The family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit. David Stewart, Chicago.
A group of black Chicago firefighters asking for a federal investigation into the operations of the city's fire department. African-American Firefighters and Paramedics League founder James Winbush says Commissioner Jose Santiago is turning a deaf ear to concerns the department doesn't hire enough African-American firefighters. Chicago Teachers Union is calling for the resignations of Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez in the wake of the 2014 shooting of a black teen by a white police officer. You may recall the union is locked in tense contract negotiations with CPS officials and the mayor. Chicago sports, Pau Gasol 17 points, 18 boards. And the Bulls win over Boston 101-92. Big Ten hoops, Michigan State topped the Illini 79-54. The news, a service of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call their 24-hour victim helpline, 877-MAD-HELP or mad.org. That's MADD.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hey, do you know my friend Laz Coulchar from Automated Systems, who sponsored and spoke at Freedom Summit and wowed the crowd with his story of escaping communism, coming to the U.S., and building a successful software and systems integration company? Here's Laz Coulchar to explain.
Thanks, Joe. I built my company to deliver solutions for industry's toughest automation challenges by giving clients customized solutions to make production lines, facilities, and plants run with less downtime, more speed, and fewer fewer rejects. Our systems provide reliability and deep insight into our clients' manufacturing operations for companies of all sizes, from Fortune 500 life science to successful startups.
Thanks, Laz. If you even suspect that automated systems could benefit your company, then call him. There's no obligation. Call Laz at Automated Systems at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit automatedsys.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
Your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy is committed to helping you and your wallet stay healthy.
As a retired teacher, I look for ways to save money for the things I love, like traveling the world. Medicare plans change each year. Fortunately, my Health Mart pharmacist helped me understand my insurance saving me money on prescriptions. They can help you too.
Start saving for the things you love. Visit healthmart.com to find a locally owned Health Mart pharmacy near you. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
It is 6:06, and in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Evergreen Park, there's a crash, 95th in California. On the expressways, the Kennedy's looking good now. Outbound, just a little heavy at Montrose. Earlier crash there, quickly cleared. About 21 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Inbound, it's still fine. Edens is good. About Eisenhower, just a little slowing past Manheim. Mount Stevenson, it's about a 2-minute delay. Pulaski to Kedzie. Inbound Ryan, slow starting around 31st. 22 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, about a 1 or 2 minute delay from Cottage Grove to the Ryan. Traffic is a service of Lead Safe America. Does your child struggle to concentrate, pay attention? What looks like ADD or autism may actually be caused by lead poisoning. Lead is a neurotoxin. It can cause permanent brain damage. Find out how to protect your family. Go to leadsafeamerica.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center, aircomfort.com. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, low clouds and fog with occasional rain and drizzle, high 42. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerably cloudy with areas of fog for tonight with a low of 37. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
37 at O'Hare, 40 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Power Trading Radio. Heard Sundays at 2 p.m. Brought to you each week by Online Trading Academy.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
The bloodshed on Chicago streets gets national attention as President Obama takes his fight for gun control to a primetime televised town hall meeting. It comes during this especially violent start to this new year.
What can you say to somebody tonight to convince them that you don't want to take away everybody's guns, that you're not coming for their guns?
There's nothing that we've proposed that would make it harder for you to purchase a firearm.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. So, Amy, Donald Trump, not the only one making the rounds, doing the town halls, doing the cable shows. Well, he's mostly doing the town halls and making the rounds. He doesn't really need the cable shows. Certainly not like some of the other candidates. But Ted Cruz in Iowa, where he's the front runner.
Yeah, 24 days away from the Iowa caucus.
TikTok.
TikTok goes a collect.
And it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see the dynamics among the kind of tier one candidates. You've got Cruz, kind of steady as she goes, and Trump trying to kind of get back into the mix. And well, I mean, he's in the mix in Iowa, but get back to the pole position. And so he's come up with these rather silly and hypocritical birther charges or insinuations. I
So
guess is a fair
whether or not
word.
he's
Insinuations about
eligible to run for president.
Yeah, about Cruz's.
Yeah, and this morning he was
status.
asking Cruz to turn himself in. I'm like, turn himself in? Donald Trump wants Ted Cruz to take himself to court.
Well, yeah, he said
prove
he
that
said
he's eligible.
Cruz should go get a declaratory judgment from a judge that's an American
Or
citizen.
that, the declaratory, what is it called?
Declaratory judgment.
Exactly.
Yeah, so what you said. And Jeb not willing to commit to Donald Trump. So we talked about this yesterday, and people responded, or maybe it was, well, whatever. We talked about it on Tuesday, I think. But people responded and said, will Donald Trump be a spoiler? Is he committed to support whoever the nominee is? And Trump supporters said, well, are you going to ask other candidates that, like Jeb? And I thought that Jeb was on board with that. And then Jeb went on Hugh Hewitt's show yesterday.
He was on board during the Christmas holiday.
Well, so Donald Trump is not the only one oscillating on this issue, because Jeb Bush was on Hugh Hewitt, and he was oscillating all over the place.
But if he were, and I asked this question, I have to ask it twice of everyone, if he were, would you support him?
Donald Trump's not going to be the nominee, so you asked it twice.
Okay, I'll try 3 times. Just go with me, because he's ahead in New Hampshire. He's ahead everywhere. Would Jeb Bush do the loyal Republican thing and support the nominee?
I have been a loyal Republican my entire adult life. I have supported and voted for every Republican candidate since Richard Nixon. That should give you some indication of my loyalty to the conservative cause.
So is that a yes, Governor?
That's not a yes. It's not a no. I'm just telling you, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, it's not a yes, it's not a no.
Sounds like he's voting for Hillary.
Well, that's a problem for Jeb, is if he doesn't have enough problems.
Well, even Time Magazine, the cover today says how Trump won. That's the whole article about how Trump won it. We haven't even hit the Iowa caucuses yet, or New Hampshire.
We're a ways away from that. So there's that dynamic, and then you have the dynamic of Christie and Rubio. Christie PAC going after Rubio PAC going after Christie. A war of words, mostly being leveled by Christie, who's trying to have a surprise finish in Iowa, and also really use that a surprise, maybe 4th place finish in Iowa. Use that to buoy himself in New Hampshire for a high finish, if not a victory in New Hampshire, because otherwise, I think Christie goes away. Listen to Chris Christie go all Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters on Marco Rubio in a potential Rubio-Hillary Clinton matchup.
This isn't my first rodeo, and if Marco Rubio thinks by putting out a couple of negative ads on me that somehow he's going to intimidate me, it just shows how inexperienced he is and how unprepared he is to be our candidate against someone like Hillary Clinton. You want someone on that stage against Hillary Clinton who has been through the wars, not somebody who's a first-term United States senator who has never had a tough race in his life. This guy's been spoon-fed every victory he's ever had in his life. That's the kind of person that we want to put on the stage against Hillary Clinton? I don't think so. She'll pat him on the head and then cut his heart out.
Chris Christie,
he's such a. I'm so over him.
I really am
blowhard.
too. He is a blowhard. He's really become rather tiresome. He really has become rather tiresome. First of all, Marco Rubio has been spoon-fed, handed everything. Marco Rubio was a decided underdog in the U.S. Senate race against Charlie Crist, and it was kind of part of the Tea Party and the conservative grassroots that ultimately, over the course of time, despite the Republican establishment backing Charlie Crist in that primary, that provided the impetus for Rubio to beat Crist and then win that Senate seat. And by the way, Florida is no slam dunk for Republican statewide candidates. So Chris Christie's just wrong on the merits with respect to Marco Rubio.
Well, he travels at one speed, and that's angry. That's all he does is bark, 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 bark.
When he was elected in 2009, Chris Christie, and that was kind of the start of the reaction to Obamacare, Chris Christie and then McDonnell, who's now in prison, Virginia governor.
Oh, that's right.
And then Republicans take back the House in 2010. Christie was good because he looked like he was going to be a rough and tumble guy who was willing to take on the public sector unions and the Democrats to turn New Jersey around. Chris Christie now kind of talks a conservative game. But as commercials have pointed out, including one that was pushed by Rubio Super PAC, Christie's record,
Conservative?
Not so conservative, and I know he's got a Democrat-controlled state legislature, so that makes it more challenging. There's no question about that. That's limiting. But, Chris Christie's act, I think, is wearing thin everywhere except perhaps New Hampshire.
I still don't forgive him for his bromance with Obama. And during the Republican National Convention, 16 minutes into his speech, he finally mentions Mitt Romney.
Yeah,
he didn't care. He was all about himself. He could care less about the Republican Party or the platform or the policies. And all he cared about was himself.
You're right. That's
and I still can't forgive him for that. And by the way,
that keynote speech
my friends that go over that bridge every day, every time they're stuck in a traffic jam, they think of Chris Christie and what he did. Come on.
I don't know. I don't know about Bridgegate. That's a bridge too far for me. But in terms of his nominating, his keynote speech at the convention, I was there, and that was the height of self-involvement. There's no doubt about it. So back to Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz in Iowa, and he gets a plant question from a dreamer. Somebody in this country, per the DACA program, this Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. She asked Ted Cruz this question. Listen to this response.
As a DACA holder myself, I worried about, whoever comes next to the presidency and what's going to happen to people like us. So I just, I think of myself as a part of this community and, first day in presidency, you decide to deport, people like myself, but, it's just very difficult to process.
Well, listen, I would note, if you're a DACA recipient, it means that you were brought here illegally, and violating the laws has consequences. And one of the problems with our broken immigration system is that it has created human tragedies. And there are human tragedies when people break the law, but I can tell you what the law is in every country on earth. If I illegally emigrate to England or Germany or France or China or Mexico, and they catch me, they will deport me. That's what every other country on earth does. And there's no reason that America's laws should have less respect than the laws of every other country on earth. We should welcome people who come following the laws, but there are consequences for breaking the laws. And that is part of what makes America the nation that we are.
Yeah.
Was she crying?
She was a little bit nervous because she was probably a plant from the Democrats. The Democrats ultimately posted this video. DNC posted that video. So she's a plant.
Well, she could be a hired actress, yeah.
Well, Ted Cruz is too smart to take the bait and pander, and he gave, frankly, a pretty strong answer.
That was strong.
And it's a strong answer, particularly in context, because, yes, the children here children that have come to this country illegally, people here that are in this country illegally who are otherwise people that are doing the right things, that just came here for opportunity. You can have empathy for them. There's no question. Mm-hmm. But then you have to remember the other side. And the other side is highlighted by this story yesterday. Arrests in Sacramento and Houston.
Oh, yeah. Those two.
Both men, Palestinians born in Iraq, living as refugees in the United States. 24 and a 23-year-old, the 24-year-old from Houston and the 23-year-old from Sacramento, California, charged with attempting to provide material support to ISIS. So that's the other side of it.
Oh, yeah, and just to think that they went to Syria from 2012 to 2013, fought with terrorist groups, then came back into this country and just started living their lives as if nothing happened.
Well, right.
But still hell-bent on killing Americans. And they put that in postings,
And thank you for bringing up Syria, because I don't want to let this Cologne story go. This story out of Cologne, Germany, the mass sexual assaults on New Year's Eve in Cologne, Germany, that the left is just unwilling to talk about. Great tweet from David Frum, who's Republican-ish, but he's a senior editor for The Atlantic.
Yeah.
If the Cologne attackers had belonged to a fraternity, their coordinated sexual assaults would be the biggest story on earth right now.
That is so true. They would
Spot
shut
on.
down the Greek system and,
Spot
yank them
on.
off campus.
Right.
Well, they'd be arrested,
Rolling,
first of all.
Rolling Stone makes up stuff about fraternities, much less if it actually occurs. Hey, listen to this.
That's great.
Police report, this is out of Germany, published in Der Spiegel yesterday. The police report with respect to this New Year's Eve attack details a chaotic situation far more violent than police initially admitted. Overwhelmed police officers tried to intervene to protect women who ran through a gauntlet of men who groped, attacked, and robbed them. Violence was so severe, police initially feared there would be fatalities. I'm a Syrian, one man shouted, according to the report. You have to treat me kindly. Mrs. Merkel invited me. Another pulled out a residence permit and ripped it apart right in front of police, saying, you can't touch me. I'll just go back tomorrow and get a new one. Even now, Cologne police publicly claim there's no evidence of migrant involvement, but an interview with a police officer published in the German paper Express says police detained 14 Syrians and 1 Afghan on New Year's Eve. None of the men had been in the country for more than a few weeks. They were all later released. And just to...
Why?
Well,
why were they released? I'm sure
a
some
great
of the
question.
women would testify against them.
A great question. And listen to what's happening in Germany. You think this is just an American phenomenon, that only conservatives are worried about the sovereignty of their country and the security for their families and their nation? Listen to this. This comes to me from a friend who has lived in Germany for a long time. Mm-hmm. He passed along the front page of a newspaper in Dusseldorf. As a response to the attacks in Cologne, a citizens' army with several thousand members has formed in Dusseldorf. On Facebook, they say they will roam through the city with the goal of making it safer. And just to give you a perspective, Dusseldorf is kind of Philadelphia to Cologne, New York City.
Okay.
Or vice versa if you ask somebody from Dusseldorf. They're very close to each other. So this is, now you've got a response because of the lack of government response to the reality on the ground. That sound familiar?
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Some big news in the weather department. Rain and drizzle on and off throughout the day, a high of 42 degrees. So enjoy this warm weather because the cold stuff is coming. And so is the snow. Tomorrow morning it begins. We'll have anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of snow, a high in the upper 30s. And on Sunday morning, we're going to have a morning flurry, otherwise windy, a lot colder, partly cloudy skies, a high of just 20 degrees. And Sunday into Monday, we're going to hit a low of 6 degrees. Anything better on the roadways? And did that accident clear up on the outbound Kennedy near Montrose? Here's Jim Telemonte with the answer.
Thanks, Amy. It has cleared. There is a delay on the outbound Kennedy, a little farther out, slow central to Sayre, but just 23 minutes now from downtown to O'Hare. Inbound about 21 minutes. Inbound Edens has a 2-minute delay from Peterson to the junction. Outbound, it's fine. Inbound Eisenhower, 32 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 30. Stevenson is 37 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 22 minutes. 95th to downtown. In Hawthorne Woods, Fairfield Road is closed between Sherman and Ivanhoe. That's due to a crash. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
We did it. That's right. Because of your generosity and support of our annual Feed the Children campaign, we were able to reach our goal of feeding over 18,000 children, real families with real needs that you helped to meet. And we especially want to thank the many business benefactors who've stepped up in a huge way. When you hear their advertisements on this station in the coming months, we encourage you to support them as a way of saying thanks for their generosity. And just because we met our goal in 2015, that does not mean that the need has gone away. Hunger is still a real challenge for thousands of families and children in the area. So please continue to support Feed the Children with a tax-deductible gift of any amount at any time. Simply go to feedthechildren.org. And thanks again from all of us here at AM 560, The Answer.
Having a great smile to show off makes you feel good. There's no embarrassment associated with being able to flash your pearly whites whenever you want. If you'd like to feel that comfort and confidence with your smile, there's only one person who can help you. Dr. Neruzzi of Fox River Periodontics.
This is Brian DeWolf. I have 2 implants from Fox River Periodontics. I had one, I was happy with it, so I had another one done, and I love them. The idea of dentures didn't appeal to me at all. I didn't want that appliance in my mouth. These implants are wonderful. They're just like your real teeth. And they're probably even better because there's no nerve attached to them, so there's no pain, and they last forever. Dr. Neruzzi is great, and his staff is wonderful, and I trust him completely. If you're looking for dental implants, or considering dental implants for a missing tooth or for a whole mouthful, talk to Dr. Neruzzi. He'll be happy you did, and Fox River Periodontics.
This is Dr. Neruzzi. I personally guarantee your happiness with your implants. Go to implantsforme.com.
And a major meteor collision could hit within the next 4 billion years.
Lucky we have homeowners insurance.
What?
If a meteor hit our home, we'd be covered.
But homeowners insurance isn't helping us with our busted furnace.
No.
And it won't help get the plumbing fixed, or our refrigerator, or the oven, or anything else that happens to break down. That's why we need a home warranty.
Homeowners insurance can cover things that might happen, like a meteor destroying your home. But a home warranty from American Home Shield helps protect your budget against what will happen. Component breakdowns of up to 21 major home systems and appliances, like your heating, plumbing, refrigerator. For valuable free information, go to ahs.com or call 1-800-900-4317.
The odds of a meteor destroying your home are 180 trillion to 1.
To protect your budget against home appliance breakdowns, get an American Home Shield home warranty. For free information, go to ahs.com or call 1-800-900-4317. 1-800-900-4317.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so we were talking about Ted Cruz, his performance at that Iowa town hall, resisting the temptation to pander. That's the opposite of what Hillary Clinton does. Remember in the 2012 campaign, Amy, Obama had the Orwellian avatar Julia, this composite character. She was like a graphic artist in her 30s who wasn't married but had a kid, and she couldn't afford $9 a month for a contraception, and she has student loan debt, and she needed protection.
She's like the poster child.
Imaginary boogeymen, and this was to cobble together the new radical left coalition that constitutes the modern Democrat Party, while also keeping the pressure on Mitt Romney to kind of dither on issues of
the war on women, right?
Yeah, right. To prosecute the war on women, which Mitt Romney lost. So now Hillary has done President Obama one better. She has an actual real live girl as her avatar campaign spokesman. This is 8-year-old Olivia.
Oh, she's 8?
8-year-old. So is it child abuse? I mean, is this
I don't even know if you should play this.
Is this about as cynical as you get? It's an ad that Hillary Clinton, a video that the Cackle Caucus has put out. Here's Hillary's little feminist, self-described Olivia.
My name is Olivia. I'm a little feminist growing up to help all women with equal rights. I have 2 dads. I go to a school for kids with learning disabilities, and I wish that there were more public schools that can help kids with dyslexia like me. I hope you can be the first woman president of the whole United States. By the way, I'm really glad that there is now gay marriage legal all around the whole 50 states of America. I would be completely willing to help you out after school. I bet I would be the youngest member of your campaign.
Hey everybody, say hello to our newest volunteer, Olivia.
Hi, is this Jasmine? Hi, my name is Olivia, and I'm volunteer with Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah. There it is. Boy, Olivia's a real policy wonk at 8 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that she'll be part of Hillary Clinton's transition team. I'm sure have an important role to play there. Of course, she has 2 dads, and she's special needs, and
she's dyslexic, and she looks a little bit like Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh well, you're going after an 8-year-old. What's wrong with you?
Do. She plays basketball on
This
the
is
team.
why the 5th and 6th grade girls don't listen to you. You're so mean.
That was very catty of me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But you should see the video online. I think it's a must see.
I have a question for Hillary and for the Cackle Caucus and all the pro-abort Planned Parenthood types that support Hillary, and Planned Parenthood is endorsing Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Olivia, she's dyslexic.
Yeah, and I hate to correct you because you are always right, but Olivia's 12, not 8.
No, it was reported she was 8.
Really? To me, she looks like she's 12. I mean, she seems a little more developed than an 8-year-old.
I'm just going by what they said. I don't know. But I mean, shouldn't poor little Olivia been aborted?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, isn't that the position? That's the position of Planned Parenthood.
Oh, and by the way,
she would have been much more valuable with just her body parts.
Oh, okay.
Every child has a chance to live up to his or her God potential.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Here's Dr. Howard, formulator of Balance of Nature, an all-natural, 100% organic fruit and vegetable supplement.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Get real today with Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
Dan and Amy, why one Illinois state worker doesn't want to pay his public sector union dues. We'll talk to Mark Janis at 6:36.
And later, how you can win a trip for two to Los Cabos, Mexico. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say hello once again to Mike Scott.
We have gray skies and 40 degrees. Bit of fog developing in the area. 6:31 on AM 560. The Answer. A Belgian prosecutor says a Brussels apartment they searched in December was likely a bomb factory for the Paris attacks that killed 130 the month before. Top security officials will be in Silicon Valley today, getting the tech industry's help in disrupting Islamic State groups and other terrorists. President Obama criticizing the NRA as he pushes for more gun safety regulations in a town hall on CNN last night.
We have invited them repeatedly, but if you listen to the rhetoric, it is so over the top and so overheated.
He noted that the NRA refused to take part in yesterday's event in Fairfax, Virginia. A bus strike could spoil the party as Phoenix gears up for Monday's college football championship game. A bus drivers union announced a strike after rejecting a proposed contract. Authorities say a flight from New York to Chicago was diverted to Detroit due to a disruptive passenger. The plane later arrived safely at O'Hare. Classes will resume today at Lane Tech after a bomb scare around 5:30 yesterday on the city's northwest side. CPS is providing extra security today. A group of black Chicago firefighters is asking for a federal investigation into the operations of the city's fire department. African American Firefighters and Paramedics League founder James Winbush says Commissioner Jose Santiago is turning a deaf ear to concerns that the department doesn't hire enough African Americans. The University of Illinois' flagship campus is telling students not to bring their hoverboards to school when they return from holiday break. The school says the two-wheeled scooters are banned in university housing and may become contraband all over campus. And as quickly as this story develops this morning, there are more schools adding their name. Now Butler University and the University of Evansville in Indiana banning the hoverboards. Indiana University, Bloomington this morning, and Purdue University have banned the hoverboards from residence halls. And veteran comic actor Pat Harrington is dead at the age of 86.
Hey, sex symbol, how you doing with the quarterback? I hope you're not letting him score any touchdowns.
You know!
Snyder, will you keep your nose out of this? This is Julie's problem.
Harrington is best known for playing that nosy building superintendent, Dwayne Schneider, on the popular 1970s television sitcom One Day at a Time. Harrington passed away Wednesday night after a long battle with Alzheimer's disease. Chicago sports, NBA, Bulls over Boston, 101-92. Michigan State topped the Illini, 79-54. In the news, a service of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Mothers Against Drunk Driving backs victims of drunk driving and underage drinking at no charge. Call their 24-hour victim helpline, 877-MAD-HELP, or mad.org. That's MADD.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The Dennis Prager Show.
I'm a good one at storing energy. That's why I have no burnout in my life. I'm very aware that life is a marathon. And you could even look at it this way, that the year is a marathon. and you can't run at the exact same highest pace all year. You will fatigue.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remodel your kitchen or bath with Galaxy and get free installation, free design, and free financing. Call Galaxy at 773-783-8300 or schedule online at galaxyhome.com.
Have you been getting the runaround on a mortgage modification application underwater with your mortgage? Well, you'd be not alone. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of other people in the same boat with you. My name's Lou Bridges. My partner Scott Owen and I put together a law firm. One of the things we do is help people with modifications, only we don't just submit an application. Through proprietary software that we have access to, we determine what program or programs your loan is eligible for and what it would take to qualify you for those programs under the regulations. We work with our team of people, paralegals and clerks, and we put together everything, and then we submit the application for modification to the servicing bank. Only then we're not asking them, we're telling them this is the modification program our client has chosen from among those that we have confirmed they qualify for, their loan is eligible for under the regulations that you will give. And you must give because the net present value is far greater for the owner of the mortgage. So servicer, thank you for the modification. No more runarounds. Give us a call. We'll give you a free consultation.
224-513-1231.
847-865-9252. This number can bring thousands of extra dollars right to your pocket. The Art House Gallery is back in Chicago. Do you have any gold, platinum, silver, jewelry, or diamonds, antiques, paintings, porcelain, Fabergé, high-end pocket or wristlet watches, Rolex, Patek Philippe, IWC, Cartier, Tiffany, or Breitling? If you do, call the Art House Gallery now at 847-865-9252 and get your cash today. Meet in their office in Highland Park or the privacy of your own house or bank. Call now, 847-865-9252.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's in the house. Here's Alan Marty.
For 30 years, we've been making people happy with incredible deals and service.
We're the best Ford Lincoln dealers in town.
Because making people happy makes us happy.
No doubt. This is one happy place.
Heck, we just break into dance all the time.
We don't break into dance at the dealership.
Sure we do.
No, we really don't.
We could. Come on, Marty, dance with me.
The Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore. Call 1-800-984-9000 or go to alanmarty.com.
Admit it.
Okay, you're a lovely dancer.
Thank you. This is Alan Marty. Deal with us.
6:37 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. On the CTA Blue Line, O'Hare-bound trains are stopped at Division due to mechanical issues. The Edens is 21 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 19. The Kennedy, 26 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 23. Eisenhower, 35 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 30. Stevenson, 40 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Traffic as a service. Boys and Girls Club of America. It's 3 p.m. School's out for America's kids, and with school's out, clubs are in. Time to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Fog and occasional rain and drizzle today, high 42. 37 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Amy, this op-ed in the Chicago Tribune reads in pertinent part, as a child support specialist at the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services, my job is to fight for the little ones. I went into this line of work because I care about kids. But just because I care about kids doesn't mean I also want to support a government union. Unfortunately, I have no choice. The author of this op-ed from which I read is Mark Janis, and Mark Janis joins us now. Thanks so much for joining us, Mark. We appreciate it.
Okay, and thank you for paying for the call.
Yes, no problem. It's the least we can do.
Yes.
You probably, considering where the state of Illinois finds itself, who knows if you're even getting paid for your work.
Fortunately, today's the payday, so I am.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. So how long have you been with the state in Healthcare and Family Services, and when did you come to this view about AFSCME, the public sector union that represents you, quote unquote?
Well, I've been with my current position approximately 8 years, and then prior to that, I was with the old Commerce and Community Affairs, or what's known as DECA, for about 6 years. Took some time off in between to own a small business and do a couple other things. Then just kind of came back to the state. But what I came to the realization on this is, quite frankly, our current budget situation. As everybody knows, it's a mess. We've got bills that aren't getting paid. We've got people that aren't being served. And, it's just a conglomeration of, continued errors all the way around, on all sides of the fence, as I see it. But primarily it was because, I just didn't see that the union was representing a lot of my points of view in several areas, and I just don't agree with them in all cases.
Well, Mark, prior to taking the state job, did you know that you had to pay union dues?
Not really. It was never, overtly advised, or told me about it in my letter of acceptance, or my letter of engagement, if you will. It never stated that this was going to be a union position, or that I had the right to join or not join the union. Quite frankly, I didn't really know about it until I got my first paycheck. There's this fair share amount coming out, and I started asking around, and that's when I found out about it.
So you're some kind of radical subversive who seeks to destroy unionization in the workforce, isn't that right?
No, not really. No, unions have their place. They really do. I look at unions and the current situation kind of like a pendulum. As we all know, back in the early 1900s, business had an iron fist, and they kind of ruled the roost, if you will. And unions came along, and people, bargained, and they collectively got together, and they changed that pendulum, to start swinging more to the center. Well, over the last number of years, in general, the pendulum has swung way more, I think, towards the unions. And I think we just kind of need to bring that pendulum back, more to center.
Mark,
draw an analogy.
Mark, you've worked for the state of Illinois long enough to know such reasonable arguments have no place in this conversation. But they do have a place in the Supreme Court, and next week the Supreme Court is going to hear oral arguments in the case of Fredericks versus California Teachers Association. We've talked to Rebecca Fredericks before. She's an elementary school teacher who's the lead plaintiff in the case. And it basically, depending on the court's ruling, would allow for workers like Ms. Fredericks or workers like Mr. Mark Janis to choose whether or not they want to belong to the union that seeks to represent them, right?
Correct. Well, and the Constitution gives me the right of free speech and the right of free association. And unfortunately, currently, I don't have that right of free association because I've got to pay these fair share, contributions to the union. And I've met Rebecca Fredericks. I have talked to her, and we're both on the same page on this. And in fact, I'll be going to Washington, to hopefully hear some of those arguments on Monday, and meet with her, and hopefully we'll get a positive outcome of this case.
Mark, I used to work for a union for a while in Detroit, and I tried to get out of paying union dues because I didn't like the candidates that AFTRA in Detroit was supporting. And guess what happened? I went out into the parking lot. My tire was flat. So be careful. There are consequences to your actions. Have you tried to get them to stop taking the dues out of your paycheck?
No, I really haven't, because I know it's pretty much a strong uphill battle, and it's not going to work. They've got a lock in that regard. That's why I chose this avenue of the court case, and trying to go that route, to make it more legal. Now look at some of our border states. You look at Wisconsin, you look at Michigan, you look at Indiana. They're not required to pay dues, or they're not required to pay fair share. They can opt out if they wish. Why shouldn't I get that same right and that same opportunity?
We're talking to Mark Janis. He's an Illinois state employee, works for the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services, and is advocating for a little worker freedom in state government, doesn't necessarily want to be represented by AFSCME, which is why he's the lead plaintiff in Janus versus AFSCME, a lawsuit challenged the constitutionality of the Illinois law that requires state workers to pay those fair share dues Mark was just speaking of. Now, here's the argument the union makes, Mark, that I want you to respond to. They say, well, look, we represent all state workers, in the case of AFSCME, or 40,000 state workers, and we negotiate on behalf of all of them. And so we have a free rider problem if people like Mark Janus opt out because we're negotiating his benefits, the conditions of his employment for his benefit, and he is not paying like everyone else is. What do you say to that?
Well, they can make that argument. But again, I don't have the right to choose, with the free association, as I spoke of before, of whether I actually do want them to represent me or not. And I don't have the right to say, well, look, you're not representing all of my interests because I've got these issues, versus your issues. One thing that came out in the news this morning, I heard briefly, and I don't have all the details, but, Governor Rauner wants to put in a type of incentive-type program and, to try to cut costs in the state and, to try to save some money and other things. And already AFSCME has come out and saying, well, I don't think that's such a good idea. Now, when I was in business and in private industry for several years, that was common. I mean, if you came up with a good idea or you saved the company money, you had they gave you an incentive program.
Well,
why won't that work for the state, and why is AFSCME already coming out saying against it?
Well, sure, and
that I don't understand.
And you could make perhaps the additional argument that, look, I don't need the negotiation. I've chosen that I do not want the union to represent me, so I'll negotiate directly with my employer, this particular state agency or that particular state agency, and we'll come to terms on the component parts of my employment individually. What's wrong with that?
Well, there's nothing wrong with that because I think you could do that because there are businesses in the world that are part union, part not.
Right.
And, they seem to be able to, come along very nicely and works that way.
And frankly,
why can't we do it here in the state?
Well, and frankly, there are parts of state government that aren't state workers that aren't union either. I was a state government employee, and I wasn't union in the two different positions I had while I worked for the state. Yeah, exactly.
Cough up your cash.
And wait, one other, Mark, real quick too. What's the scuttlebutt about AFSCME because they don't have a contract, and we're talking the last couple of months about the possibility of Chicago teacher strike. Could we be looking at a rather rare event based on what you're hearing in state government of a public sector worker, a state worker strike led by AFSCME this year?
I have not heard anything of that as yet. I know it's been talked about, but I haven't heard anything, overtly that says, yeah, we're going to do it, or yeah, that's going to happen.
Well, it just seems like such a huge government overreach to take the money directly out of your paycheck. Are you at liberty to say, or do you feel comfortable saying how much of your pay does go to your union?
It's approximately about $53 a month.
Yeah, but still, that's money that you worked hard for.
And
keep.
Mark, are you traveling to D.C. to hear oral arguments next week in that Fredericks versus California teachers?
I plan on being there and plan on trying to get into the Supreme. See, the Supreme Court, to hear those oral arguments, there's nothing guaranteed. I mean, even though my attorneys filed an amicus brief and we're joining with Rebecca, it doesn't guarantee us a spot in the courtroom. So we've got to line up just like everybody else and wait in line and hopefully get a seat.
All right. He is Mark Janus, state worker. That is part of the case seeking worker freedom for public sector workers in places like Illinois state government. Mark, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Safe travels.
You had a run-in with AFSCME, right?
I did.
I have it here.
I did. Well, no.
Wait, no, run-in, but you were at a town hall meeting. Were you at some meeting in Kankakee?
Yeah, it was in Bourbonnais. Yeah,
Bourbonnais. That's what I just. Yes. You say Bourbonnais, I say Bourbonnais.
That was. I think it was SCIU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Yeah, I mean, they don't want to have a conversation about the bankrupt status of the state and the inability to continue to afford what government tries to afford in the worst rated state with the highest unfunded pension liability just for openers, and they're intransigent. And to Mark's point, the union doesn't represent their interests if you look at your interests beyond just yourself and to the community and the state in which you live. And that's an important conversation that the Supreme Court will be taking up in part next week.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
We should play that. Let's see.
Because if we
all right, we'll do the forecast first. Clouds today, some fog. Rain on and off throughout the day, 42 degrees. Then tonight it begins. The white stuff's going to start falling anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. It will continue into tomorrow afternoon, a high of 38. And on Sunday, things get really cold around here. We're going to have a morning flurry, otherwise windy, colder. Variable clouds, a high of just 20 degrees. Let's see how the outbound Kennedy is shaping up after that accident was cleared at Montrose. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. It's not too bad right now. Good morning, Dan. It's heavy from Central to Sayre. That crash from Montrose is gone, and traffic is still fairly light in that area. So actually now just 24 minutes from downtown to O'Hare, inbound 27 minutes. The slowdown starts around Harlem. Eden's 22 minutes, Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Eisenhower, 36 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, it's 30. Stevenson, 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 5. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 21 minutes, I-80 to the Merge. Bishop Ford, 20. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reagan Tollway to 290. The other tollways are still fairly light. Northwest Indiana looks great. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Key reports on the health of our labor market, more volatility in Asia's markets, and crude oil near an 11-year low. Those stories next.
Is negative content or comments on the web affecting your personal or professional reputation? Unfavorable comments, embarrassing pictures, videos, legal documents, and bad tweets can ruin your personal life, your career, or your business. It happens a lot, and it's just not fair. But what can you do? Reputation.com can protect your good name. Get a free consultation now at 800-651-4888. That's 800-651-4888. Call right now for a free expert reputation analysis. It's easy to squash the unfair attacks with our patented system, and the analysis is absolutely free. Make the best things about you jump out in searches. Protect your personal and professional reputation, your business, and your income. Get your free reputation analysis right now. Call 800-651-4888. 800-651-4888. 800-651-4888.
Investors hoping to end the hemorrhaging on Wall Street today. The Dow Jones Industrials and S&P 500 off to the worst four-day start to any year on record. Both indexes dangerously close to joining the Nasdaq in correction territory. Wild gyrations in Chinese stocks overnight, generating volatility in nearly every market in Asia. We'll see whether reports on non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate for December are strong enough to revive investor confidence on Wall Street. Investors also considering corporate developments. Gap reported a 5% drop in its December sales, and we're expecting more volatility in the battered crude oil market. February crude down more than 10% this week alone, under $34 a barrel. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
You want to have some fun? Let's go to Los Cabos, Mexico together. The Dan and Amy Show inviting you to come along. We're heading to Los Cabos April 2nd through April 9th. We'll be staying at the beautiful Secrets Puerto Los Cabos Golf and Spa Resort, an all-inclusive, adults only, all-suites resort. It opened in December of 2013. It's brand new. I mean, it's got 8 restaurants, 4 bars, cigar bars for Dan Proft, 3 miles of pristine beaches, 2 sparkling pools, and adjacent to the golf course, right on the resort, 2 beautiful, challenging 9-hole golf courses designed by Jack Nicklaus and Greg Norman. Join us in Cabo. Get more information and book your trip by visiting 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. The price we have secured for you with our good friends at Apple Vacations is exclusive only to us. This trip sells out every year. Don't miss out. This place is gorgeous. Visit 560theanswer.com, keyword escape. But you can enter to win a trip for 2.
Yeah, you do that
free
by downloading the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. You can register for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip for 2 to Secrets Los Cabos, Mexico with us, courtesy of Apple Vacations. Just click on the Enter to Win banner to register. Contest ends January 29th at 9 a.m.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you had questions about purchasing a home, you called me and I helped you. When you and your parents had questions about reverse mortgages, you called me and I helped you. When you needed help refinancing to lower your mortgage payments so you could afford the home after your spouse passed away, you called me and I helped you. If you'd like to talk to me about a mortgage, give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email me, David at pearldavid.com. That's David at PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com licensing.
CertaPro are the experts in exterior painting, but now is the perfect time to paint your interior, refresh and renew your living space, and escape the winter doldrums. Hi, Amy Jacobson here, and I've used CertaPro several times to paint my home. They're fast, efficient, clean. CertaPro is easy to work with, so your life won't be disrupted by messy, inconsiderate contractors. They will move the furniture, and when they finish, they'll move it back. With their color specialist, CertaPro takes the stress out of choosing the perfect color. CertaPro painters, we do painting, you do life. Call CertaPro today at 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's CERTA with the C. Book your winter painting project now. Schedule your free estimate today. CertaPro painters are locally owned and operated. 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's CERTA with the C.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com. Once a man reaches a certain age, they're constantly told to get routine checkups to be sure they get the most from their health. With today's resources, it's now easier than ever, instead of waiting until it's too late. Associated Urological Specialists understands that. They know you need the assurance of having the very best services available to cover your bases. They also know that no two cases are alike. Providing medical and surgical urological specialties is one thing, but clinical numbers and research are just a part of making the right decision for you personally. At Associated Urological Specialists, there's a full suite of specialists that execute full-service treatment. From diagnosis to procedures and everything else, they'll create options and mesh seamlessly into your daily routine. Let this message be the one that frees you to focus on your health now and in the future. Visit auspecialists.com today. That's auspecialists.com or call 708-608-2195. That's 708-608-2195.
We were talking about public sector unions. Listen to this. Listen to this. The president of SEIU, the Service Employees Union, on a podcast with Red Diaper Baby and professional lawyer David Axelrod, had this to say. We kind of peaked in 74 in setting wages and conditions for the majority of the people that work for a living. We ceased to be relevant to ordinary people. We were no longer a catalyst for creating a better life for everybody. Boy, SEIU president, not adopting our position, but certainly introspective in terms of the declining relevance of the public sector union. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, President Obama addresses the nation, has a town hall, a sit-down with Anderson Cooper about guns. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning once again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching right now. Lane Tech High School declared safe after a bomb threat. There will be extra security on hand this morning. Black firefighters want a U.S. federal review of the Chicago Fire Department. Mayor Emanuel says there may be a review of the city's law department by the feds. This morning, the University of Illinois and other Big Ten schools are banning those hoverboards in dorms. And Aurora's mayor is recommending a top female police commander. Low clouds and fog, occasional rain and drizzle in your forecast today. A complete look at weather after Fox News. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. They are refugees, one's from Iraq, the other from Syria. Both have been busted for terror in the U.S. Fox's Tanya J. Powers details both cases live.
Oh, the arrests were made in California and Texas, and authorities say the two men in custody have ties to ISIS. Oz Mohammed Yunis al-Jayab of Sacramento is a Syrian refugee charged with lying to federal investigators about his travels to that country. The second man, Omar Faraj Saeed al-Hardan, was indicted Wednesday on 3 charges. He tried to provide material support to ISIS. Now, there's no indication either planned attacks in the U.S. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says this is why he called for a stop to refugees entering the U.S. from countries, quote, substantially controlled by terrorists. Dave.
Tanya, in the probe in the Paris terror attacks, an apartment in Belgium is in focus. Fox's Simon Owen live in our European bureau.
Dave, almost 2 months after those bombings and gun attacks in Paris, police revealing details of an apartment in Brussels where they suspect at least some of the bombs were made and where a prime suspect in the attacks hid out after escaping. But still no sign of Salah Abdeslam himself. Prosecutors say they found his fingerprint in the apartment in a search on December 10th, as well as 3 suicide belts and traces of explosives. Dave.
Why is the gun issue so difficult?
People occupy different realities.
President Obama says there are a lot of law-abiding, gun-owning Americans. Then there are neighborhoods.
It is easier for a 12 or 13-year-old to purchase a gun and cheaper than it is for them to get a book.
The president tells the CNN forum he's not trying to take away guns like critics claim. And expanding background checks is common sense, but American sniper widow Taya Kyle says they wouldn't have stopped recent mass shootings.
We have to recognize that we cannot outlaw murder because the people who are murdering, they're breaking the law, but they also don't have a moral code that we have.
There may be a rebound to this week's giant sell-off on Wall Street. Futures are rising after a turnaround in China's stock market. And in a half hour, we get the jobs report. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Fog and 40 degrees. Winds are east at 6 at 7:02. On AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities say a flight from New York to Chicago was diverted to Detroit Metropolitan Airport due to a disruptive passenger. United Flight 3461, operated by Shuttle America, landed around 8 p.m. Thursday at the airport in Romulus, that is a Detroit suburb. Plane from LaGuardia had 69 passengers and crew on board. Later, it continued to O'Hare safely. Classes resuming later today at Lane Tech High School after a bomb scare. The building evacuated around 5:30. A bomb threat ruled out. CPS is providing extra security. A group of African-American firefighters is asking for a federal investigation into the operations of the city fire department. African-American Firefighter and Paramedic League founder James Winbush says Commissioner Jose Santiago is turning a deaf ear to concerns. And days after saying a federal review was not necessary, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel has flip-flopped and called for an outside review of the city's law department after an attorney resigned amid allegations he concealed evidence in a fatal 2011 police shooting. One of the candidates who filed to run against Senator Mark Kirk in the Republican primary will not be on the March ballot. State Board of Elections Thursday rejected nominating paperwork for Elizabeth Paulke of Arlington Heights. And the University of Illinois' flagship campus is telling students not to bring their hoverboards back from holiday break. Urbana-Champaign campus spokeswoman Robin Kaler says the two-wheeled scooters, popular at Christmas, will be banned in university housing and may eventually become contraband all over campus. Same story at UIC. Also, in Indiana, Butler University and the University of Evansville have banned the hoverboards from campus. Indiana University in Bloomington and Purdue University have banned them from residence halls. Chicago sports, Bulls over Boston 101-92. College hoops, fighting Illini stumble, lose to Michigan State 79-54. The news service of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, it's 3 p.m. School's out for America's kids, and when school's out, clubs are in. It's time to support the Boys and Girls Clubs. Visit greatfutures.org. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Shark Tank Judge Barbara Corcoran for On Deck Business Loans.
I swim with the sharks every week on TV, so I know many small businesses need capital to grow. That's why I'm excited to tell you about On Deck Small Business Loans. They offer business lines of credit up to $100,000 and term loans up to $500,000 in as little as one business day, which means you get the capital you need when you need it to help your business grow. On Deck is 100% focused on small business, and it's easy to tell. The online application is very simple, and they have dedicated funding advisors who are available to consult with you on your financing needs. On Deck has an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and has delivered more than $3 billion to thousands of businesses nationwide. Best of all, 93% of their customers would recommend On Deck to a friend. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Give On Deck a call today.
Take Barbara Corcoran's advice and apply now at OnDeckLending.com or call 800-326-3043. 800-326-3043.
Loan subject to lender approval. Must be open 1 year and have $100,000 in annual revenue. At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
Your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy is committed to helping you and your wallet stay healthy.
As a retired teacher, I look for ways to save money for the things I love, like traveling the world. Medicare plans change each year. Fortunately, my Health Mart pharmacist helped me understand my insurance saving me money on prescriptions. They can help you too.
Start saving for the things you love. Visit healthmart.com to find a locally owned Health Mart pharmacy near you. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
7:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, and here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Kennedy, traffic is slow from Harlem to Nagel and Kimball to the Burn Circle. It's 30 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 17 from Montrose, 12 on the Express. Outbound 24 minutes downtown to O'Hare. At the airport, we're seeing a small number of flight delays, mainly for arrivals. Departures look good. Midway, almost everything's on time. Eden's inbound, 22 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Eisenhower, 40 minutes from Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. Stevenson now 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound fine at 34. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57 outbound before Holstead. There's a crash, the two left lanes. Inbound getting a little heavier. It's about 20 minutes I-80 to the merge. Northbound Tri-State slow Ogden to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Northbound Veterans Memorial slow Maple to the Reagan Tollway. The other tollways are good. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Low clouds and fog with occasional rain and drizzle today with a high 42. Little evening rain, otherwise cloudy with areas of fog. Tonight with a low 37. Then areas of fog continue to the morning tomorrow. Couple of rain or snow showers in the afternoon with a high of 38. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Fog and 39 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
The bloodshed on Chicago streets gets national attention as President Obama takes his fight for gun control to a primetime televised town hall meeting. It comes during this especially violent start to this new year.
What can you say to somebody tonight to convince them that you don't want to take away everybody's guns, that you're not coming for their guns?
There's nothing that we've proposed that would make it harder for you to purchase a firearm.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So the president and Gloria Vanderbilt's kid had a little confab yesterday on CNN, talking guns, keeping it real, sort of. President Obama off teleprompter, so not making a lot of sense, kind of beset by all kinds of contradictions when he's forced to think for himself, trying to explain things. And he had an op-ed in the New York Times yesterday as well.
He's all over the place.
Oh,
you can't get away from him even if you try.
Exactly. Omnipresent. That's part of the problem. This is the headline. Guns are our shared responsibility. Guns are our shared responsibility. So my gun ownership imposes a responsibility on you, Amy. No, it doesn't. And here's the problem. When you say that an individual right triggers, pun intended, a shared responsibility, what you do is obviate individual responsibility. The government intercedes to be the responsible party rather than individuals. Big problem. And it actually exacerbates the violence problem. Individual right, individual responsibility. Let's make sure we understand that. The president
Why would he even say that, though?
Because he's a collectivist. That's why. And because he wants the government to intercede everywhere. The president writes, among other things, all of us have a role to play, including gun owners. We need the vast majority of responsible gun owners who grieve with us after every mass shooting, who support common sense gun safety, and who feel their views are not being properly represented by the NRA, to stand with us and demand that leaders heed the voices of the people they're supposed to represent. The gun industry needs to do its part. That starts with the manufacturers. You need trigger locks and all kinds of other investment in R&D for what President Obama wants. Maybe he should go be a CEO of a gun manufacturer after he's done with the presidency. At a time when manufacturers are enjoying soaring profits, Obama writes, they should invest in research to make guns smarter and safer. All of us need to demand leaders brave enough to stand up to the gun lobby's lies. And then this.
He says his object is not to take away guns from law-abiding citizens, but rather reduce chances for guns getting in the wrong hands. And he pointed out last night about, guns are being sold out of the back of vans. And
one of the questions that should have been asked last night that wasn't.
Yeah.
Even by those that were pro-Second Amendment types in the audience, like Taya Kyle, the widow of American sniper Chris Kyle, and we'll get to her, should have been asked is, Mr. President, if you could, by executive order, ban handgun ownership, private handgun ownership in the country the way that you supported a ban on private handgun ownership in Chicago when you were a state senator representing neighborhoods in Chicago and a U.S. senator representing the state of Illinois, would you do it? I'd love to hear the answer to that, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on to say this about his proposed executive orders. Change will be hard. It won't happen overnight. But securing a woman's right to vote didn't happen overnight.
Heck no.
The liberation of African Americans didn't happen overnight.
Heck no.
Advancing the rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Americans has taken decades worth of work. So I just want you to understand something. President Obama is comparing his flimsy little executive orders that are marginal in terms of impact, even on gun owners' rights, much less on reducing violent gun crime in major urban centers like he used to represent. He is comparing what he is doing now to women's suffrage, the end of slavery, or perhaps civil rights legislation for African Americans in the 60s, and, of course, the gay rights agenda that he was a late participant in. And you think Donald Trump engages in hyperbole. And you think Donald Trump is self-involved, a self-involved egomaniac. I mean, this guy is really something. And he's got some support. Where does his support come from?
The left.
Well, right. Academia, but the left is a synonym for academia.
Right.
Listen to this. Another New York Times piece written by University of Notre Dame philosophy professor Gary Gutting. You know where this is going. Gary Gutting, Notre Dame law professor, put that on the list for school where Peyton and Eli can't go. Gary Gutting, a philosophy professor at Notre Dame, says, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
He's discovered something. Apparently, there is a violent crime problem that disproportionately afflicts minority families in big cities. Did you know this?
I did not know that.
I didn't know it until I read the piece either, Guns and Racism. Second Amendment's racist. That's the upshot. He writes, professor writes, black people in the quote-unquote bad parts of our cities have to live with utterly unacceptable levels of gun violence. I hadn't heard that. Did not know that. Thank you, Professor. They have when we had much more restrictive gun laws than we do now. Gutting says that he spends a fair amount of time in Chicago, and he's noticed that the people seem to care more about gun violence in its white areas than black areas. Well, if you're referring to the mayor and the city council, then yes, I agree. Now, he says that, does this mean that we're racist? Perhaps not. Perhaps we just haven't realized the extent to which gun violence is destroying urban black communities. But once we realize this, our passion for justice and hatred of racism should galvanize us to action. Yeah, I totally agree. But, of course, then the good professor, philosophy professor, he needs to take a Logic 101 course, goes on to suggest the Second Amendment is racist. So this is how out of touch the ivory tower left is. And the ivory tower left includes one President Obama.
Well, President Obama, he also wants to, you mentioned that he wants safety legislation, making guns safer, similar to putting seatbelts in cars and the safety twist caps on medicine bottles. So what is his goal to make guns safer? We already have safety locks on guns, do we not?
No, not required.
It's not required. They don't all have them.
A gun safe. I mean,
a safety lock.
Well, you have a safety on guns. You're talking.
Safety,
you're
right.
not talking about trigger locks.
Right. Sorry.
Well, trigger locks is an additional item that people have proposed be put on guns. It's kind of difficult if you got a trigger lock on your gun. You need to defend yourself. Hold on a second, criminal. Wait a second. Got to get this lock off. And then it's a fair fight.
But I did like when Anderson Cooper asked him the really tough question.
There's a lot of people out there who don't trust you, obviously, on the issue of guns. You keep saying you don't want to take away everybody's guns. There's a lot of people out there tonight watching who don't believe you. There's a lot of people in this room who, frankly, don't believe you. And it's not just that you don't really have personal experience having owned a gun, but it's that things you've said. Support for Australia's tough anti-gun policies. They banned semi-automatic assault rifles. They banned even shotguns in Australia.
Right.
You praised their policies over and over. Back in 2008, you talked about bitter Americans clinging to their guns. Even now, these executive actions have caused a lot of concern among a lot of people. What can you say to somebody tonight to convince them that you don't want to take away everybody's guns, that you're not coming for their guns?
Oh, I know what he can say.
Okay,
he can say we need to be more like China, like he did at his tearful press conference.
Well, Father Flager, your BFF, was there too, and he suggested that you need a title for a gun similar as a title for a car, so that we should all get titles. You understand that?
I understand Michael Flager, who should have been defrocked long ago, who's an embarrassment to the Catholic Church and the Archdiocese of Chicago, who's a demagogue with a bad bubblegum haircut. I completely get it, and he couldn't be more wrong. Father Flager doesn't understand many things, and all of his work has done what in the neighborhoods he represents? How are families in the neighborhoods that St. Sabina, where St. Sabina is located, all the work that he does, how have they fared? Black families doing better?
No.
Safer neighborhoods?
They have midnight basketball there at St. Sabina.
That's nice. Yeah. By the way, owning a car is not a right. Second Amendment, individual right. I know this baffles the left. And that's why, thankfully, at that town hall, although Anderson Cooper had a nice little moment there, we also had some sensible people to help President Obama and Anderson Cooper try and understand this out in the hustings. Taya Kyle, who's the widow of American sniper Chris Kyle, was there, and she offered this to the president.
No, I appreciate you taking the time to come here, and I think that your message of hope is something I agree with, and I think it's great. And I think that by creating new laws, you do give people hope. The thing is that the laws that we create don't stop these horrific things from happening, right? And that's a very tough pill to swallow.
Right.
We want to think that we can make a law and people will follow it. But by the very nature of their crime, they're not following it. By the very nature of looking at the people who hurt our loved ones here, I don't know that any of them would have been stopped by the background check. And yet, I crave that desire for hope, too. And so I think part of it, we have to recognize that we cannot outlaw murder because the people who are murdering, right, they're breaking the law, but they also don't have a moral code that we have. And so they could do the same amount of damage with a pipe bomb. The problem is that they want to murder.
Yeah, moral code. That's something you don't hear talked about very much. We'll take your calls on what President Obama, what Taya Kyle had to say on the topic of guns right after this.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Grab a turnkey.pro answer line, 312-642-5600. Also, a rape survivor stood up to the president last night. We'll play that as well. But here's your forecast for right now. Rain and drizzle on and off throughout the day, a high of 42 degrees. And tomorrow it begins, the S word, the four-letter word, snow. We'll have anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, a high of 38. And on Sunday, can't rule out a morning flurry, otherwise very windy, brisk, a high of just 20 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thank you, Amy and Dan. There is a crash on outbound I-57 before Halstead. 2 left lanes are blocked. It's backing up the outbound Ryan starting around 91st Street. It's about 25 minutes from downtown to 95th. Inbound 23, slow 95th to 79th, and 31st into the loop. Edens, looking good. 19 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 20. Kennedy, 28 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. Inbound Eisenhower, 40 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. Stevenson is 45 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. It's clear outbound. Lakeshore Drive southbound, a little heavy Belmont to Fullerton. On Tri-State heavy Ogden to 31st, then from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Veterans Memorial, a little slow from Maple to the Reagan Tollway. The other tollways look great. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
There are 2 kinds of pain. Pain that goes away and the worst kind, chronic pain. If you suffer from chronic pain, life is not complete and it can be miserable. Unfortunately, most people use narcotics that mask the pain. You need to find the source of the chronic pain and get relief.
This is Dr. Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in the management of pain, and our team are national leaders, as well as being educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. You know, there's a nationwide narcotics epidemic, and people are too quick to mask over chronic pain instead of looking for the cause and treating or eliminating the pain. Contact us. We will help you.
Go to mypainchicago.com. Call and make an appointment with some of the best pain people in the nation, located here in Chicago. mypainchicago.com. You or someone you know suffers and the suffering of chronic pain. mypainchicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
The most recent U.S. Supreme Court decision on the Affordable Care Act made one thing certain. We will all have to deal with this ever-changing law until at least 2017. If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. That's right, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 20-year licensed broker who's been educating AM 560 listeners on the Affordable Care Act for the last 5 years.
Thanks, Dan. If you have a pre-existing condition, a canceled plan, or your premium increased, now's the time to get covered. 2016 open enrollment begins on November 1st and ends on January 31st. During this 90-day window, you cannot be denied coverage. Depending on your income, you may find a more affordable plan. The new healthcare law is very complicated and you do need guidance. It costs you nothing to use a broker, so why not tap into my expertise?
Thanks, Steve. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
You are a sign business, you want to grow, and you want to make more money. So do I. I want to partner with you. This is Dave Carlson, and my sign company is Franco Carlson & Company. We've been doing business in Chicago since 1894. With millions of dollars of state-of-the-art equipment, we can do any job. Trade shows, bus and vehicle wraps, banners for special events, even custom wallpaper. We can help you expand your sign business. If there is an order, any order, or a piece of business that you don't have the capabilities to do yourself, we can do it with you. You don't have to turn away any sign or print business any longer. Speed and quality to meet your deadlines. You have my word on that. Expand your sign business. Take any order. Make more money. Become a partner with Franco Carlson & Company. Contact me for a quote or stop by for a tour of our shop. Franco Carlson & Company. We are the sign company's partner.
Call Franco Carlson & Company at 773-847-6900. 773-847-6900.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy talking about Obama and the Vanderbilt kids. Little confab yesterday on guns. We heard from Taya Kyle, Chris Kyle's widow. We also had a rape victim that had some words for the president.
She was another strong female voice at that town hall, and she was raped years ago, and she went on to get married and have children, and She questioned Obama because she wants a gun to keep herself safe and keep her children safe in case her attacker comes back.
Why can't your administration see that these restrictions that you're putting to make it harder for me to own a gun or harder for me to take that where I need to be is actually just making my kids and I less safe?
There's nothing that we've proposed that would make it harder for you to purchase a firearm.
And there you go. So why all this hyperbole? Why all this hypertension? Why making people nervous, making her kids nervous when nothing has changed? Nothing is different.
Let's go to our friends and listening audience. Ralph and Rantoul, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, first of all, it's important to remember that Obama is a consummate liar. The people are bringing up good points. I want to know who in his administration or his advance team is going to get fired for allowing people to show up that had the permission to ask questions that were even remotely confrontational for Obama to answer. He's going to do backdoor things like he's tried to do every other backdoor thing. He knows that he can't take down the Second Amendment right now. So he's adding ways in order to thwart people to purchase firearms, like veterans with PTSD, like linking firearm ownership with Obamacare. All of these things. Next, watch, I think he's going to try to link gun ownership and purchases with the terror watch list and the no-fly list, because those are unseen. It's almost impossible to get yourself off once you're listed, and once they get tied to the NICS, it's going to be very difficult for people to buy a firearm when they find themselves magically, mysteriously attached to a list that identifies them as terrorists.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Ralph. And we also have talked about the error incidents on the National Insta-Check system. Alan in Rockford.
Hey, Dan, listening to Kyle's statements, it's what she didn't say that I found a little telling, which was I don't believe she actually supports gun ownership in the Second Amendment.
No, she does. No.
Are you sure?
We only played a portion of what she had to say. She went on for a couple of minutes beyond that, but no, she definitely does.
All right, as long as you say so, I'll take your word for it.
All right, thanks, Alan.
All right, thanks, buddy. Bye.
Oh, buddy. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, he's my buddy.
Want to go for
Hi,
a
friend.
little ice cream?
Phil on the northwest side.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. It bothers me every time the left does this, especially recently. There's a million reasons why we should keep disarming so we can turn into a third world country. Our economy's already there. The mental illness issue that he keeps bringing up, I think that's the same as your two callers ago, making reference to making all legal gun owners having some sort of mental illness, and also pardoning all your terrorists do these random shootings. These people are mentally ill, so it's an automatic excuse for them that the president says we have mental illness. It's just another parting defense for domestic terror, just like they did with all the rest of the terrorists, pardoning everybody. And the way they do with all your drug felons, they make them into Cook County cops. And nationwide, this is a big problem.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Shared responsibility. That's the key phrase. Sean in Elmwood Park.
I find it hard to watch liars and fraud. So it was difficult to watch the son of communists and the grandson of a great capitalist, the self-loathing grandson of a great capitalist, try to dance in this quagmire of socialism and to try and reason as to why we do not have individual rights and to justify what we are living through for 7 years. Really, and it's not all the son of communists' fault. It's really, you could go to Bush, who is the equivalent of Bismarck, to Adolf. So this is where the legislative tyranny that we are now living in, there are laws on top of laws on top of laws that you don't even know if you're illegal, but you can bet you are, in which they can implement their social engineering. But to all of the people who are cursed with the gift of literacy and read his two books, where he not only confesses he is in fact a communist sympathizer, but he confesses his disdain for our individual rights, for the Declaration of Independence, and for the Constitution. So don't act surprised, and hopefully you did what I did and got prepared, because whatever Gestapo gets the order to come to my house, don't wear your good uniform, because we're going to get dirty. So let's get this party started and do what you said you're going to do and come and get them.
Thanks for the call, Sean. That's why I'm long on Sturm Ruger. Cynthia in Albany Park.
Yes. Hi. I understood that the NRA was made fun of during the show where he was saying how they refused to show up and whatnot.
Well, yeah, they invited them and they didn't want to come.
Yes, they did want to come. They were asked to do one pre-screen question and only one. So just again, it sounds like you can keep if you want your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Obama is just a miserable failure.
Thanks for the call, Cynthia. I would have loved to see Wayne LaPierre and Barack Obama actually debate in an unfiltered environment. That's what we should see.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I've been taking it, and I'm actually feeling better. I know that I'm not coughing anymore, and I was coughing all the time.
I notice my body feels better.
I have diabetes. I had my blood work done, and I had really good numbers.
I want to thank you for your product and all that. It's been great.
I got my kids taking them now. I got my parents taking them. My brothers, my best friends. I got everybody on them.
I love the product, and I love Dr. Howard. I trust him. I feel safe. I think his product is superb. I'm going to continue with it.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
We did it, that's right, because of the generosity of others and our support for our annual Feed the Children campaign. We were able to reach the goal of feeding 18,000 children this holiday season, real families with real needs that you helped to meet. And we especially want to thank our many business benefactors who've stepped up in a huge way. When you hear their advertisements on this station in the coming months, we encourage you to support them as a way of saying thanks for their generosity. And just because we met our goal in 2015, that doesn't mean that the need has gone away. Hunger is still a real challenge for thousands of families and children in our area. So you can make a tax-deductible gift of any amount at any time by going to feedthechildren.org. And thanks again from all of us at AM 560, The Answer. And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer,
we'll have the December jobs report, and we'll also check in on the forthcoming Illinois bond sale, first in 2 years. That's all with Brian Battle from Performance Trust Capital Partners at 7:37.
And looky here, Planned Parenthood endorsing a candidate for the first time ever. Who is it? We'll give you the answer coming up. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Fog and 39, the widow of Chris Kyle. Former Navy SEAL dubbed the American Sniper weighed in last night on President Obama's efforts to curb gun violence. Taya Kyle was part of Obama's CNN town hall meeting last night.
Your message of hope is something I agree with, and I think it's great. And I think that by creating new laws, you do give people hope. The thing is that the laws that we create don't stop these horrific things from happening, right? And that's a very tough pill to swallow.
She said recently announced measures like more background checks will not stop gun violence. The president said in last night's forum he respects the right to bear arms.
What I've said consistently throughout my presidency is I respect the Second Amendment. I respect the right to bear arms. I respect people who want a gun for self-protection, for hunting, for sportsmanship.
The president's comments last night on CNN. Refugees in Houston and Sacramento are arrested on 2 separate charges related to terrorism. A Palestinian refugee in Houston has been charged with trying to provide material support to ISIS. The White House this morning rejecting a petition to pardon a man at the center of a Netflix series, Making a Murderer. 100,000 people signed that whitehouse.gov petition demanding Stephen Avery's release. The White House correctly pointing out the president cannot issue pardons in state cases. Politically this morning, Republicans Chris Christie and Marco Rubio going at it hard. Amidst the verbal sparring, Rubio wants to make one thing clear.
Yeah, it's not personal. This is not personal attacks. These are policy differences.
Just yesterday, Governor Christie said if nominated, Hillary Clinton would pat Rubio on the head and cut out his heart. You still have time to get tickets for the largest lottery jackpot in U.S. history. Powerball grand prize totaling up to $700 million this morning. For the mathematically inclined, your chances of winning are just about 1 in 300 million. Classes resuming today at Lane Tech High School after a bomb scare. Police were called to the school on the city's northwest side yesterday around 5:30. CPS providing extra security today. Chicago Teachers Union calling for the resignations of Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez. You may recall the Union is locked in a tense negotiating stance with Chicago CPS officials and the mayor's office. Chicago sports. Bulls beat Boston 101-92. On the college hardwood, Michigan State topped the Illini in Big Ten hoops 79-54. The news service of Compassion International. There is a little boy or girl living in poverty right now. They don't have enough to eat and can't go to school. You can release them from poverty when you become a sponsor with Compassion International. Find out how at compassion.com/radio. 7:34 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager strips the fight against terrorism to its roots.
There are bad people on earth. Those of you who love God must hate evil. We live in the age of wherein people are almost hypnotized by the word love. So they can't, oh, you mean hate? Oh my God, are you advocating hate? Yes, if you don't hate evil, then you don't love God. If you don't hate evil, you don't love goodness.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Cornerstone National Bank believes trust, service, and relationship is the foundation of a business banking partnership. Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company, where you belong. Visit cornerstonenb.com. Member FDIC.
The Home Building and Remodeling Expo that Bob Vila promotes is coming to the Lake County Fairgrounds January 16th and 17th. If you're looking to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or maybe get a new roof, flooring, windows, or insulation, then this is the event for you. At this two-day expo, you'll meet local and national contractors displaying their products and services. Get fresh ideas, arrange estimates, and talk directly with contractors, many of which are offering huge discounts. Maybe you need a new furnace or handyman. You'll find everything you need under one roof. Increase the value of your home and impress your friends and family by getting the hottest updates. Special announcement. Design expert Kelly Edwards of HGTV's Design on a Dime will be presenting both Saturday and Sunday from noon to 1 p.m. and giving away cash and prizes. Remember, the Home Building and Remodeling Expo, January 16th and 17th at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake. Get more information at homeshowevent.com. That's homeshowevent.com.
7:36 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The Edens has outbound delays from Elston to Dempster. It's 26 minutes. Montrose to Lake Cook. Inbound, 19. Kennedy. Slow Harlem most of the way to the Burns Circle now. 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 30 from Montrose, 28 in the Express. Outbound 27 downtown to O'Hare. Inbound Eisenhower, 40 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop. Outbound 35. Stevenson, 51 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's fine outbound. Ryan, 26 minutes. 95 to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive. Slow Irving Park to Fullerton. Northbound Tri-State has slow pockets between Harlem and 31st. Nothing extreme, though. Then it's heavy from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Traffic as a service of the Foundation for a Better Life. When Marlon Shirley was 5, he lost his foot. Today, as the world's fastest amputee, he runs the 100-meter in less time than it takes to listen to this. Overcoming. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the aircomfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Low clouds and fog, occasional rain and drizzle, high 42, 37 overnight. And cloudy with fog in the morning, showers of rain in the morning, snow developing in the afternoon. We could see up to 3 inches by Saturday midnight, high of 38. 37 at O'Hare. Next news at 8, Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Laz Word with Tom and Dave, heard Sundays at midnight.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And what we're talking about is the December jobs report. The numbers are out. 292,000 jobs created in the month of December. Unemployment rate remains steady at 5%. Now, on the downside, this according to Jimmy Pethokoukis, our friend over at the American Enterprise Institute, he tweets out, on the downside, flat wage growth, long-term unemployment moves higher. To help us distill these numbers and tackle some other financial matters, we're now joined by our friend Brian Battle. He of Performance Trust Capital Partners. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Dan.
So let's start with the jobs report. 292,000 jobs, pretty good number?
Yeah, it's a pretty good number, and a number that used to have a lot more importance. The Federal Reserve has two mandates. One is full employment mandate, and the other is stable value of the currency. They felt like they've met this full employment mandate by having a 5% unemployment rate, and then with the job numbers ticking up to 292, that looks like they were prescient in starting to raise rates a little bit because this thing has they've done their job here, and they're going to let it go. So no surprise here in this number, and a yawner, thankfully, in a very destabilized week.
Now the unemployment rate stayed stabilized at 5%, but what is the real unemployment rate, do you think?
Well, that's a great question, Amy, because there's a lot of distortion in how we measure unemployment because some people are working part-time, people have left the job-seeking system. So there's questions of whether the underemployment rate or the unemployment rate, if you mix them together, might be something closer to 10, 15, or 20% because there's a lot of kids that stay in school, a lot of kids that are kind of staying home. People have left the workforce because they're just demoralized that they can't get a full-time job due to some of the regulatory strictures that are in place for full-time employees.
And on the downside, too, as I referenced from Jim Pethokoukis, flat wage growth. It seems to me that if we just looked at the unemployment rate at 5%, which used to be full employment, we didn't look at the U6 number that you were just describing in part, that if that were really true, boy, you wouldn't see the exasperation and the anger out there out on the hustings in the political process, particularly as it pertains to the candidacy of Donald Trump, if things were as rosy as those statistics may otherwise indicate.
Right, Dan. 5% used to indicate full employment. Like you can't go below 5% because people come and go in jobs and they quit and they get hired, and so there's a 5% that used to be considered the floor, and so that you're exactly right. That would indicate or dictate that holy cow, things are going great, and 95% of the people that are looking for work are getting jobs. That would then imply that there's going to be wage pressures. People should be able to ask for a raise and get a bonus and work their way up the employment ladder, and that's not true. So there's something structurally different going on, and the unemployment rate doesn't reflect really what's going on in the economy, and that has caused some dissent at the Federal Reserve because they deem that as, we think there's slack in the economy, and so because a lot of this is driven by the change in the demographics, so many people the baby boomers are starting to retire and be sort of in and out of the labor market. This is sort of throwing the old way to measure things out the window. So there is frustration that 5% really doesn't indicate as great a market as there really is.
We're speaking with Brian Battle from Performance Trust Capital Partners. Brian, market mayhem yesterday. The Dow plunged almost 400 points. Is this all due to China's instability in their economy?
Yeah, there's two things going on there, Amy. First is, China, let's all be clear, China is run by the Red Army. So it's a communist country. It is central planning, and they're sort of in this netherworld between where they're trying to become more capitalistic. So how much you believe that or not is sort of up for debate. So one of the things China has done is they said, hey, we're gonna devalue our currency. We're gonna change the dial a little bit. What they're trying to do is make Chinese goods cheaper to help their export economy. And the other thing they did exactly this week, the first week of the year, which is really not the way to do it, is they put circuit breakers on their stock market. So they said, we don't want the stock market going down more than 7%. And so what they did was they encouraged everyone to sell. So twice this week, the Chinese stock market hit 7%, and on Thursday, it closed after 25 minutes.
Wow.
So last night, the Chinese authorities said, you know what, we're taking off the circuit breakers, but more importantly, they increased the value of the Chinese currency, the yuan. So that gave markets a little bit more confidence that they're trying to put a handle on this instability. And the other thing they did was the Chinese People Bank of China and the central bank bought Chinese shares last night to put a floor under the market. So this week seems to have been stabilized, but this is not going to end the trend in China.
Boy, I'm stunned here. What I hear you saying is that communist central planning has problems.
Yeah, it does, Dan.
Shocking. I never heard that before. Boy,
yeah.
I mean, this is Groundhog Day all over again. It's a surprise. I mean, it's so interesting to me that so many people are surprised that the Chinese economy is a bit of a Potemkin economy. You mentioned some of the infirmities. In addition to that, I mean, the Chinese have half of the world's debt, $28 trillion in debt. I know we're not far behind, but there's some real structural problems with China that maybe should send me putting all of the money I have long on Sturm Ruger and Smith & Wesson into gold.
Well, you're right. I mean, the thing they're calling it the Great Fall of China this week, and 14% in 2 trading sessions is a lot. And you're right. I would caution anyone not to believe any financial statement that comes out of a mainland Chinese corporation. I mean, their accounting standards aren't quite up to full disclosure. They don't have transparency. So it is a managed economy. It is a new stock market. It's only about 25 years old. It's not that big, and it's dominated by retail investors. And a lot of these retail investors use leverage. So it really looks like a pinwheel. It'll go up and down 3%, 4%, 5% in a week, in a day, and that's pretty normal and ordinary for them. More importantly is that there was some confidence that, the Chinese authorities would manage their way out of this, and they've been running the economy for a long time, and they know what they're doing. And this is a signal that they might not have a good handle on things as we thought, because they've been growing like crazy for 10 years, 15 years, and that pace of growth can't be perpetuated. So what they do now, how are these guys, and I use that pronoun on purpose because it's all men in the room, what are these guys going to do now to try and manage the second biggest economy or the third biggest economy in the world to make sure it stays on its feet? And that affects us directly, because if they devalue their currency, that makes U.S. goods more expensive relatively, and that's going to hurt U.S. exports.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of the things you said is allegedly growing for 15 years, because we can't believe their numbers.
Right. And, Dan, you make a great point, and Chinese debt is a number that's, first of all, not well known, but it's definitely massive, and their banking problems are bigger than ours. It's a new economy. The way it's very patrician. If you know who you know, you probably have a good job, and you can skirt the rules a little bit. They have a very vibrant underground banking economy, and the nominal amount of all the gross debt in China is not well understood, because a lot of it is privately placed. So they do have a debt problem in China. They're going to have to try and grow their way out of it. But what they have to do certainly is reconcile that their banking system is way undercapitalized. Now, since you're running a communist country, you can just kick the can down the road and tell everyone everything's fine. But they're sort of at an inflection point in China now to say whether they're going to address these problems or they're just going to sort of wait it out. My bet is that they're going to wait it out and just see how it goes.
So, Brian Battle, look into your crystal ball. What do you predict the markets are going to do today?
Oh, Amy, I wish I knew. Boy, that'd be great to know. So what I do know is that the stock futures are indicating a higher open. So the Dow looks like it might open about 200, and the S&P is going to open up about 24. So still, we're rolling about a negative 5% return so far in the Dow Jones in the first trading week of the year. Not great, but certainly I think we're going to have some stability today, given that there's been some affirmative action in China. No matter if it's managed or not, the Chinese are trying to get a handle on things, and it'll give traders, 200-point move in the Dow isn't that big a deal, but at least it'll give some confidence that the market might be okay to close out the week. And there wasn't a disaster in China last night, which is what a lot of us feared once they took the circuit breakers off.
Before we let you go, I want to ask you about another command control economy. That's the state of Illinois. And Dan Heckman, who's a fixed income strategist in Kansas City at U.S. Bank Wealth Management, said in 2016, it's kind of a waterfall year for Illinois. I think credit rating agencies are running out of patience, so it will be very important and critical for the state to get its financial house in order as much as possible. That opinion is the backdrop of Illinois preparing its first bond sale in almost 2 years. And Illinois is $500 million of federally tax-exempt bonds are scheduled for sale next week. And Illinois is going to pay a premium because we're the worst credit-rated state in the nation.
That's right. So Illinois is going to borrow that money. Good news for Illinois, it's a great time to be a bad borrower. Rates are low, spreads are narrow. So Illinois is going to pay about a 2 percentage point premium. So instead of borrowing at 3, Illinois is going to borrow at 5
That's substantial, because that is not paid by the bond ferry. That's paid by Illinois taxpayers.
That's right. So you and I are going to be paying that out of personal income taxes. Or even worse, is that the money that should have gone to social services and delivering government services are going to be diverted to being bondholders. Not that bondholders are evil, but they have priority. And if there's a set amount of revenue, government has to pick who they pay. So that means less cops, less social services, and less support for the people in Illinois that need it the most.
All right. He is Brian Battle, Performance Trust Capital Partners. Brian, thanks as always for joining us.
Of course, Dan and Amy. My pleasure.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Rain and drizzle on and off throughout the day, a high of 42 degrees, and that's going to feel very balmy compared to what's heading our way. Tomorrow, it begins. The snow will have anywhere from 1 to 3 inches by midnight on Saturday, a high of 38 degrees. And on Sunday, a morning flurry, otherwise windy, brisk, cold, a high of 20 degrees. And get this, Sunday night into Monday, we're going to have a low in the single digits, just 6 degrees. So an Arctic blast is heading our way. Let's head on to the roadways and see if there's any traffic tie-ups. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Well, the Eisenhower was relatively light for a while, but not anymore. It's jammed from 25th to Sacramento, and the travel time is shot up 53 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, 40 from Manheim, outbound 39 to Thorndale. Eden's just 19 minutes late. Cook to Montrose, outbound it's 26. The Kennedy, 40 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 27. The Stevenson, 58 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. It's clear outbound. The Ryan, 26 minutes, 95th to the Loop. Southbound Lakeshore Drive. Delays start at Montrose, 25 minutes, Hollywood to Monroe. Northbound Tri-State, delays are from 95th to 87th, from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Eastbound Adams Tollway now a bit slow, Barrington to 53, and also around 2E. Eastbound Reagan Tollway, slow Farnsworth to 59. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Oh, now that the holidays are over, it's time to start thinking a little bit about yourself. One way would be to treat yourself to a MyPillow. There are many of you who have procrastinated, but don't put it off any longer. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for my listeners who use the promo code Amy, you will get 2 pillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer because it is so important to get a great night's sleep. I love MyPillow. I'm actually addicted to MyPillow. It helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, allergies. Plus, it's washable and it keeps its shape to give you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, visit mypillow.com. Use the promo code Amy. Do it now or call 800-489-0201, 800-489-0201, or online at mypillow.com. Promo code Amy.
What would you do if you could speak Spanish? Have a barbecue with the Spanish-speaking family next door?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Sí.
Swap stories with locals on a Costa Rican rainforest safari?
Mira, es maravilloso.
Order your favorite Tex-Mex in Spanish?
Quisiera un burrito de carne, por favor.
Once-in-a-lifetime adventures to everyday moments. If you've always wanted to learn Spanish, to have real conversations with native speakers, now you can. Because Rosetta Stone is letting everyone who calls try an absolutely free demo of its powerful language learning program. Call now, 1-800-771-3387. Fully immersing you in the Spanish language, Rosetta Stone is fast, fun, and easy. Learn on your computer or iPad. Practice on the go with your smartphone at your own pace and at your own convenience. If you've always wanted to speak Spanish, this is your chance with the fastest, easiest way to learn a language guaranteed. But don't wait. Call Rosetta Stone now for your free demo. 1-800-771-3387. That's 1-800-771-3387.
This is Dan Proft with an Upstream Idea, brought to you in part by the Illinois Policy Institute. 97. That's the percentage of Chicago Teachers Union members who voted yes in a recent mock vote. Yes, they voted. They are prepared to go out on strike for the second time in 4 years. The annual average CPS teacher salary is just under $80,000. And that's before you include their health insurance benefits and guaranteed 7-figure pensions. The bankrupt, junk-rated Chicago public schools spend more than $15,000 annually per pupil, and yet 75% of 4th and 8th graders are neither proficient in reading nor math. This in a system of nearly 400,000 students. So who's the bad guy here? Is it the teachers union or the mayor's office? Yes, there are no white hats in the story of central planners from City Hall fighting with the central planners from the teachers union over who gets to be the lead central planner at CPS. If the teachers strike, they deserve to be unlocked from their jobs. CPS students deserve access to schools that will give them the opportunity to earn an education that sets them on a course for success in life. The only way that happens is if the adults inside CPS, the parents, and the adults outside CPS, state political leaders, change the flow of money away from central planners and to families so that they may make the same choices for their children that Tiny Dancer did for his kids matriculating at the University of Chicago Lab School. For more ideas like this, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
AM 560, The Answer.
So, Dan, did you read this article yet? What I learned by not drinking for 2 years, it was by Andy Boyle. And
Very upsetting.
Well, wait, what do you mean upsetting?
Terrible.
I found it fascinating and motivational.
I found it full of lies.
It was not full of lies. So here's a short list of what he accomplished since he stopped drinking. He lost 75 pounds.
Big deal.
Well, you should see his before and after picture on Facebook. He bought an amazing loft condo. He finished a first draft of his advice book. He started exercising 3 times a day, then 4. And he went from XXL to size large.
Well, yeah,
and he's also a comedian, and he uses, his weight loss and his fact that he's sustaining from alcohol as part of his stand-up routine.
I had to lose a bunch of weight because I found out that I have sleep apnea. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's where you stop breathing while you're sleeping. So, guys, I got so fat, my body was like, let's kill him.
Yeah, it's not funny. And I'll tell you what,
That's not funny.
There's nothing that all of those positive benefits.
Yeah, 42-inch waist to a 36-inch waist.
No, they pale in comparison to the joy of drinking. The things he's learned, you don't have to drink to have fun. That's a lie.
Oh, that is not true.
You have way fewer regrets. Lie. You sleep much better. Well, maybe. You get less sad. That's a lie. You're euphoric.
True.
Save so much money. Yeah, but what's better than spending it on, a nice bottle of Pappy Van Winkle? You develop empathy for others. Well,
yeah, that was the thing.
That's
and
not a benefit.
The reason why he was able to buy that condo because he saved so much money because he wasn't spending it on booze. So you think this is just a hoax? This is just an act?
No, I don't think it's an act. I just think that his unwarranted attack on drinking is just despicable. I'm offended. Go spread your lies about the joys of drinking somewhere else, Andy Boyle.
My favorite, though, is the women he would date who wouldn't go out with him because he didn't drink. And someone said, well, I don't trust somebody who doesn't drink. And
exactly.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Everyone from Hillary Clinton and Ted Cruz to Rob Lau and Angelina Jolie say they've been inspired by Ayn Rand's most famous novel, Atlas Shrugged. What's the appeal? Atlas Shrugged grapples with the fundamental questions of human existence, presenting radically new answers. Is the pursuit of profit and noble enterprise or the root of all evil? Is sexual passion an exalted spiritual virtue or a dirty animalistic vice? Is reason an absolute or is faith an alternative source of truth? These are just a few of the timeless questions Ayn Rand explores in Atlas Shrugged, and her thought-provoking answers and intriguing characters will have you turning the pages for more. Pick up a copy of Atlas Shrugged today and visit ARIradio.com to learn more about the ideas in Ayn Rand's masterwork. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Ron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Hey, if that sounds like you every day, you're not alone. Bags and puffiness under the eyes are a problem for millions of American men and women until now. Introducing the new Genucell serum with plant stem cell technology from Chamonix. The fine folks at Chamonix take plant stem cells from a Swiss apple and make it into magic. I use it. I love it. It helps firms up the skin, lessens the bags under the eyes, and with its instant effects, which is a separate product, you will see results in the first 12 hours, or they'll give you your money back. They guarantee it. So call now and save big on Genucell's risk-free introductory offer. That number is 800-525-8323, 800-525-8323. Call now and you will get the amazing Esotique face cream as a special gift simply by placing your order. 800-525-8323. That's 525-8323.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you wanted to purchase a home after filing bankruptcy or when your home was foreclosed, you called me and I helped you. When you tried to purchase a home you couldn't afford, you called me and I advised you to purchase a less expensive home. If you want to talk with me about a mortgage, please give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email david@perldavid.com. That's david@perldavid.com, or visit my website, am560david.com. 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA, NMLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com licensing.
Two suspected terrorists arrested. We'll begin there with KT McFarland. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, a trooper charged in the Sandra Bland case, firing back. Low clouds and fog with occasional rain and drizzle today. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. A lot of Americans found new jobs last month. There was a surge in hiring. Fox's Rachel Sutherland has the Just Out report live from Washington.
292,000 jobs were added to payrolls in December, a much higher number than expected, and the unemployment rate was unchanged at 5%. The biggest growth was seen in professional and business services, construction, and healthcare. The labor force participation rate is up slightly at 62.6%. Wages are flat at around $25.24 an hour and were practically stagnant for many American workers through much of 2015, a situation that contributed to stubbornly low inflation. Dave.
Rachel, that report sent already rising stock futures a little higher. Another factor in that, a rebound from this week's giant sell-off.
Stocks in Shanghai gained about 2%, and China's currency strengthened for the first time in 9 days, easing fears that Beijing's finances are in freefall. Traders welcomed its move today to abandon the so-called circuit breaker, preventing them selling in a rout.
That's Fox's Alistair Wanklin in our Asia Bureau. President Obama getting a lot of flack over gun control.
This president's trying to create an illusion that he's doing something to keep people safe.
But lobbyist Chris Cox and the NRA were not there to debate President Obama at a forum last night. Fox's John Decker live at the White House.
2 days after the president announced executive actions designed to broaden the scope of gun sales subject to background checks, the president at a CNN town hall blamed the NRA for soaring gun sales.
The NRA is convinced, many of its members, that somebody's going to come grab your guns.
The president, who criticized the NRA's decision not to attend the event, has come under heavy fire from Republicans and Second Amendment advocates for his actions, which they say infringe on Americans' right to bear arms. Dave?
John, 2 terror busts here in the U.S., and both suspects are refugees. One came here from Syria and is accused of going there to fight with terrorists. The other from Iraq's accused of trying to support ISIS. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Fog and 38 degrees in Chicago. It's 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Authorities say a flight from New York to Chicago was diverted to Detroit Metropolitan Airport due to a disruptive passenger who was cuffed and carried off. United Airlines Flight 3461, operated by Shuttle America, landed around 8 Thursday in Romulus. That's a Detroit suburb. The plane from LaGuardia had 69 passengers and 4 crew on board and arrived at O'Hare about an hour late. Classes resuming at Lane Tech after a bomb scare around 5:30 yesterday. The Northwest Side building was evacuated. CPS is providing extra security today. Chicago police tell us they're still looking for the driver from a deadly hit-and-run accident on the city's south side. It happened December 28th near 76th and Racine. Authorities say surveillance cameras caught an SUV striking Linus Walker, who died days later. His mother wants that driver to step forward.
I would like to say, if you have any heart, any conscience, any feeling about somebody else, please turn yourself in.
Police believe the blue Yukon or Suburban was last seen heading east on 76th Street. Group of firefighters calling on Mayor Emanuel to dismiss Fire Commissioner Jose Santiago. James Winbush of the African American Firefighters and Paramedics League says there need to be changes in the department.
We have systemic racism within the Chicago Fire Department.
The organization is asking the Department of Justice to expand its investigation of police to include the fire department. Chicago sports, Bulls big winners over Boston, 101-92, Derrick Rose 18. College hoops, Michigan State over the Fighting Illini, 79-54. It's 8:03, time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of turnkey.pro. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Lillian Wu.
From the Fox Business Network, U.S. stock futures are higher after sharp losses yesterday. The Dow closing down 392 points following a sell-off in China, which sent world markets south. Ford just reporting it sold a record 1.1 million vehicles in China last year, up 3% from the previous year. White House says the president's final recommended budget will be released on February 9th. Meanwhile, top administration officials will be meeting today with executives from major tech companies about ways to fight terrorists' use of social media. And a New York man sentenced to more than 6 years in prison for leading a $200 million credit card fraud scheme, working with conspirators to fabricate more than 7,000 false identities. Prosecutors say the ring created sham companies to obtain credit card terminals to ring up charges. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lillian Wu.
8:05 in Chicago, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Hey, Chicagoland, Dave Ramsey here. For the last 20-plus years, we've helped millions of people get their financial lives in order. And now, for the first time ever, we're bringing our Smart Money Tour to you. Financial expert Chris Hogan and I will be at Willow Creek Church on January 12th. If you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck or wondering what you're going to do when retirement comes around, don't miss this event. Get your seats today at DaveRamsey.com.
Sponsored in part by Executive Green Carpet Cleaning. 10,000 baby boomers a day are turning 65, and that's for the next 17 years. Tune in to Aging Info Radio this Sunday at 9 a.m. to catch conversations regarding healthy aging, elder care, boomer and senior lifestyles, wealthy retirement, and related topics to keep us all moving forward on our aging journey. So join Susie Zawacki and her guests on Aging Info Radio for boomers and seniors, aging but not growing old. Sunday mornings at 9 on AM 560. The Answer. Presented by ControlMyCare.info.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
Your locally owned Health Mart pharmacy is committed to helping you and your wallet stay healthy.
As a retired teacher, I look for ways to save money for the things I love, like traveling the world. Medicare plans change each year. Fortunately, my Health Mart pharmacist helped me understand my insurance saving me money on prescriptions. They can help you too.
Start saving for the things you love. Visit healthmart.com to find a locally owned Health Mart pharmacy near you. Health Mart, caring for you and about you.
It's 8:07 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the very latest now with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy has a traffic jam from Montrose to the Burns Circle. It's 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, 40 from Montrose, 33 in the Express. The Ohio feeder's backed up. Outbound 32 minutes from downtown to O'Hare. The Eden's 19 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 24. The Eisenhower, now 57 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. 44 from Manheim, outbound 59 to Thorndale, jammed central to the Reagan Tollway after a crash. Stevenson runs 61 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 37. The Ryan, 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State slow 95th to 87th from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Eastbound Adams Tollway slow Barrington Road to 53. Reagan Tollway heavy Farnsworth to Wiola. Veterans Memorial slow 75th to the Reagan Tollway. Butterfield to Roosevelt. And southbound 53 stop and go Palatine to Kirchhoff. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, low clouds and fog with occasional rain and drizzle, high 42. A little rain this evening, otherwise considerably cloudy with areas of fog for tonight with a low of 37. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
We have fog and a light shower now. 39 at O'Hare. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
The bloodshed on Chicago streets gets national attention as President Obama takes his fight for gun control to a primetime televised town hall meeting. It comes during this especially violent start to this new year.
What can you say to somebody tonight to convince them that you don't want to take away everybody's guns, that you're not coming for their guns?
There's nothing that we've proposed that would make it harder for you to purchase a firearm.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning. What up, Dan and Amy? And so more information is coming out about these New Year's Eve attacks in Cologne, Germany. And we're also finding out that apparently those coordinated sexual attacks by men described as being of Middle Eastern or Northern African in appearance, as many as 1,000, according to some eyewitnesses, were not limited to Cologne. But here's a little bit of information on the Cologne incident. This from a police report that was published in Der Spiegel yesterday. Now on the time on Sprockets when we dance.
Sprachen Sie Deutsch.
The police report details a chaotic situation that was far more violent than police initially admitted. Overwhelmed police officers tried to intervene to protect women who ran through what they describe as a quote-unquote gauntlet of men who groped, attacked, and robbed. So severe, police initially feared there would be fatalities. I'm a Syrian, one man shouted, according to the police report. You have to treat me kindly. Mrs. Merkel invited me. Another man pulled out a residence permit and ripped it apart right in front of police, saying, "You can't touch me. I'll just go back tomorrow and get a new one." The Cologne police publicly claim there's no evidence of migrant involvement, but an interview with a police officer published Thursday in local German paper Express says police detained 14 Syrians and one Afghan on New Year's Eve. None of the men had been in the country for more than a few weeks. They were later released.
And not even charged.
Well, right. And in addition to that, now you have a response from Dusseldorf, which is not far from Cologne. A report in a Dusseldorf newspaper, the self-proclaimed guardians of Dusseldorf. As a response to the attacks in Cologne, a citizens' army with several thousand members has formed in Dusseldorf. On Facebook, they say they will roam through the city with the goal of making it safer.
Good.
The police are not happy. I'm sure the residents have a different opinion. Also, this is from Reddit. Incidents being reported as possibly coordinated having been committed by groups of male immigrants from the Middle East and North Africa. Additional reports outside, in addition to Cologne, where there was more than 120 sexual assaults, rapes, and robberies reported outside the railway station and cathedral that was also shot at with fireworks. Frankfurt, several women reported New Year sexual assaults to police. Hamburg, 53 cases of harassment, of which 39 over sexual harassment have been reported. Zurich, Salzburg, as well as Cologne. Is this foreshadowing for what we can expect if this Syrian refugee program, in addition to DACA and all the other executive amnesty gambits, goes forward uninterrupted and, frankly, funded by the Republican Congress? Let's start the discussion there with our friend K.T. McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. K.T., Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, Dan and Amy. Thank you.
So what about the incidents in Cologne and apparently surrounding cities in Germany, the reaction and what it should tell us about refugee programs?
Well, Germany was supposed to be the success story of the refugee program, and in other cities throughout Europe, particularly in Sweden and Brussels, in Belgium, it's a much more serious problem. And anecdotally, I've talked to a number of Europeans from various northern European countries who've said, in my town of my village of 3,000 people, we've had 1,500 refugees be resettled at the local school. They don't have jobs. They don't have anything to do. They're just roaming. And so it's really almost overwhelmed a lot of law enforcement ability to deal with it. I think the problem only gets worse. because there's no way to vet a lot of these people. And when they come to Northern Europe, again, it's a population that's 95% male that are between the ages of 18 and 35. So it's not a refugee crisis. It's a refugee invasion. And they're going to these countries. Maybe some of them are very good people who just want to resettle and want to work, but there are no jobs. And even if they come looking for jobs and they don't find the jobs, then they will be ripe recruitment for either the kind of thing you've just talked about, the rapes, the petty crime, or ripe recruitment for terrorists. And so I think it's just a time bomb that they've taken on in Europe, and it should give us great pause and great caution unless we can vet people. And what we have seen is even the San Bernardino killers, that woman was in the United States legally, and she was vetted. And I went and looked at the form she filled out online, so not even eye to eye to see if she was telling the truth. And it was questions like, are you a terrorist?
Right.
Do you plan to do you have expertise in chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear weapons?
They asked that on the form?
This is a form.
So it's like the interview from Stripes. Yeah.
Right. And so you could first of all, you could lie. And secondly, what it leads us to believe that there's going to be that these people are going to come and tell the truth, because they lie, they get kicked. They lie, they get the benefits. They tell the truth, they get kicked out.
But do you ever see what happened in Cologne, Germany, ever happening here?
No.
It seems
no,
so
because
barbaric.
I don't think we'll take as many people as they have. And what's happened in Europe is that if you can walk, you can get there. In the United States, you have to, well, except for the southern border, in the United States, you have to fly in somehow and pass authorities if you're coming in legally. In Europe, the minute they step foot from Turkey into Greece, or they sail to a Greek island or an Italian island, once they're in the European community countries, they can roam freely from country to country. So what's going to happen in Europe is not only are individual countries going to say, no, we're going to put up borders and prevent you from coming in, is that they will start sending them back. But where do they send them back to? They send them back to where they first put footfall on the European continent, and that means that a lot of them will be going back to the Balkans.
And we still have this problem where we're trying to assess what the internal threat is in this country. We keep hearing these one-off stories, the planned machete attack in New York on New Year's Eve, and now yesterday, 2 arrests of Iraqi refugees, Palestinian-born. They're Palestinians born in Iraq, living as refugees in the United States. One in Sacramento, one in Houston, both accused of attempting to provide material support to ISIS.
Look, the president can keep saying this is a gun control problem or this is workplace violence, but the director of the FBI, who has a certain amount of independence, he said, we've got a real problem that we have in all 50 states. We have an ISIS threat in all 50 states. There's cells operating. The head of the Central Intelligence Agency said we've got to assume that there are more terrorist attacks planned in the pipeline. We have to assume that it's only a matter of time before it happens in the United States. So I think we will never have as big a problem because the percentages aren't there, at least are not now. But we indeed do have a problem. The reason the European problem is going to get a lot worse is that, you read about the Syrian who ripped up the card and said, I'll just get a new one tomorrow. Well, the minute they get a card, they are entitled to a lot of public welfare programs. They're entitled to housing, they're entitled to education, they're entitled to Medicare, they're entitled to payments, and they're entitled to bring their dependents from wherever they're from to Germany. So you may have 1.5 million refugees today. You could have 10 million in a year because they'll bring, their spouses, their several wives, their several children, their any of their dependents.
Now, Muhammad, back to the 2 who were arrested, the Middle Eastern refugees living in the States here, one in Sacramento, one in Houston. The guy from Sacramento, apparently he went and fought for a terrorist group for a year and a half and then came back into this country. How is that possible, and when are we going to start yanking these people's visas?
Well, if first of all, if you're an American citizen, you can come back. We have not figured out legislation yet to prevent American citizens from seizing their passports, in effect. And we've seen whether it's TSA, is something like 85% ineffective at stopping people who have weapons and things that could be used as weapons. And we've seen the visa system, again, questions like, are you a terrorist? the system is broken. It's really broken. And my advice would be but not this president because he doesn't think there's a problem, but the next president, to just shut down the Visa and Immigration Service for a month, do a top-to-bottom audit. What is your system for letting people in? What is your system for vetting? What is your system for follow-up? And if the system still asks questions like, are you a terrorist? then I think we need to make some major wholesale changes before we open that agency back up.
Speaking of the geopolitical threats that will face the next president, in addition to ISIS, we have the ongoing curious case of Kim Jong-un in North Korea. Assess the threat North Korea, that regime, poses to the next president, and how we should be understanding North Korea in the context of China and our own national security.
Well, I think that for the next president, the legacy President Obama is going to give him is an increase of terrorist activities worldwide, the global jihadist movement. But it will also be bequeathing a nuclear arms race, probably in Northeast Asia as well as the Middle East. The North Korean threat in and of itself, whether they had a hydrogen bomb exploded underground or whether or not, it doesn't matter, because North Korea is showing that it is nuclear capable, and it has a sort of a checklist that it's working down so that it has missiles that can reach long ranges like the United States and that are capable of carrying nuclear weapons. That's their end goal. Now, I worry for two reasons. One, clearly the threat North Korea poses in the region, but also the North Koreans and the Iranians work hand in hand. The Iranian engineers have been present at every North Korean missile test, at every North Korean nuclear test. This is the fourth one. A missile that is tested in North Korea is called the Taepodong missile, shows up shortly thereafter in Iran, painted the side of it, called a new name, the Shahab missile. They have a joint nuclear program. And so while the president thinks he's signed an agreement to stop Iran's nuclear program, in fact, he's accelerated it. How do you deal with that? Okay, how does the United States deal with nuclear weapons in Iran, nuclear weapons in North Korea, missiles that could carry nuclear weapons and reach the United States? I think we need to dust off the missile defense program that President Reagan started. I mean, I was in the Reagan administration, Dan, I think I've told you this, and wrote the Star Wars speech. I mean, I wrote the part nobody remembers. Reagan wrote the only important part of it, but Reagan was kind enough to invite me into the White House that night when he challenged the American scientific community to build a shield, to build a dome, to build a missile defense system. He started it, subsequent presidents cut it back, and Obama's gutted it. We should be doing just the opposite. We should be saying, look, we see a threat coming. We see North Korea, Iran, other countries getting nuclear weapons. We need to build that missile defense shield. Otherwise, we are defenseless against nuclear weapons coming into the United States.
And now, Katie, if I'm not mistaken, you also had a writing credit on Star Wars the movie. Did you not? Katie McFarland.
I was an Ewok.
Katie McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. Katie, thanks always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Dan.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Enjoy today and the warmth. 42 degrees for a high, foggy right now. Drizzle on and off throughout the day. And then tomorrow, that light rain turns into snow anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, depending on where you live, a high of 38 degrees. And on Sunday morning, we're going to have a flurry or two. Otherwise, windy, cold, brisk, a high of just 20 degrees. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. That rain is a factor. The Kennedy is now an hour from O'Hare to downtown. It's 50 minutes from Montrose, 33 in the Express. Outbound 35 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Eden's just 20 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 24. The Eisenhower, 1 hour. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 59 minutes. Stevenson, looking at an hour from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's about 37 minutes, slow approaching 294. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, stop and go Wilson to Fullerton. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to 290. Eastbound Adams Tollway, heavy Barrington Road to 53. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
We did it. That's right. Because of your generosity and your support of our annual Feed the Children campaign, we were able to reach our goal of feeding 18,000 children around Chicago this holiday season. Real families with real needs. Thank you so much for helping. And we especially want to thank the many business benefactors, who've stepped up in a big way. When you hear their commercials on this station in the coming months, well, we encourage you to support them as a way of saying thanks for their generosity. And just because we met our goal in 2015, that does not mean that the need has gone away. Hunger is still a real challenge for thousands of families and children in our area. So please continue to support Feed the Children with a tax-deductible gift of any amount at any time. Simply go to feedthechildren.org. And, hey, thanks again from all of us here at AM 560, The Answer.
I just took Balance of Nature for the first time. You guys are awesome. God bless you.
I have CIDP. It's helped me with my balance. It's helped clear up my skin condition.
I honestly did notice a difference. That's why I reordered it.
I feel good. I really just feel good. Everything has changed. I just feel so much better.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. It's helped me as far as my overall health. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
The most recent U.S. Supreme Court decision on the Affordable Care Act made one thing certain. We will all have to deal with this ever-changing law until at least 2017. If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. That's right, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 20-year licensed broker who's been educating AM 560 listeners on the Affordable Care Act for the last 5 years.
Thanks, Dan. If you have a pre-existing condition, a canceled plan, or your premium increased, now's the time to get covered. 2016 open enrollment begins on November 1st and ends on January 31st. During this 90-day window, you cannot be denied coverage. Depending on your income, you may find a more affordable plan. The new healthcare law is very complicated and you do need guidance. It costs you nothing to use a broker, so why not tap into my expertise?
Thanks, Steve. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551. AM
560, The Answer.
Do you want me to sing?
Please, just refrain from singing. I love you to death.
What if I talk sing?
Talk sing?
Blue
okay.
Jean Baby.
Start. Blue Jean Baby, LA lady. Ready? Seems just for the best.
Not bad.
Okay, thanks.
Not bad.
Oh, hey,
I can still do. I just a good Sinatra though. I'm a win. I mean, I can't do Elton John. It's just that's outside my range. And a man has to know his limitations. Unfortunately, Tiny Dancer doesn't. Pirouetting on the Law Department review. We had Governor Ronner on the show this week, and he brought the hammer down on little Tiny Dancer, and said that legal department that the city's operating over there, that deserves a federal investigation as well. We might as well have the federal government just take over city government at this point. And what's the difference? I mean, again, if Barack Obama had a son, he would look like Rahm Emanuel. The city legal department under pressure because they have attorneys, one in particular who resigned, who aren't following the rules of discovery in litigating cases. One in particular, the shooting death of a young man, the Pinex case.
Yeah, he withheld evidence.
Withheld evidence that should have been turned over to plaintiff's counsel in a wrongful death case against the city. He's been fired. Rahm Emanuel says he has full confidence in his legal department right until yesterday when he doesn't, and he's okaying the federal review of the legal department.
Well, this is him on Tuesday saying he has full confidence.
He has done some very significant things, and he has my support to make sure that this does not happen.
Now we don't need a law department review.
Right, and he was talking about his corp counsel, chief counsel there.
Who is going to do an internal review.
Right, so the internal review, he's got it, not a problem.
Nothing to see here, guys. Go, walk away. Just to think Rahm Emanuel was worried that the movie title Chirac was going to hurt Chicago. Maybe his actions are what's going to hurt the reputation of Chicago.
Since it's an international story that the city's disintegrating, I would say so. So that was Tuesday, as you report, when Jordan Marsh, the attorney in question, resigned and said that the U.S. Department of Justice there's no need for an investigation into the city's law department. Thursday, Manuel announced that the practices and standards of the Law Department's Civil Rights Division will be reviewed by a third party and new training added. This guy is
a hot mess.
He's disintegrating right along with the city that he is supposed to govern.
Good man always knows his limitation.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Home Building and Remodeling Expo that Bob Vila promotes is coming to the Lake County Fairgrounds January 16th and 17th. If you're looking to remodel your kitchen, bathroom, basement, or maybe get a new roof, flooring, windows, or insulation, then this is the event for you. At this two-day expo, you'll meet local and national contractors displaying their products and services. Get fresh ideas, arrange estimates, and talk directly with contractors, many of which are offering huge discounts. Maybe you need a new furnace or handyman. You'll find everything you need under one roof. Increase the value of your home and impress your friends and family by getting the hottest updates. Special announcement. Design expert Kelly Edwards of HGTV's Design on a Dime will be presenting both Saturday and Sunday from noon to 1 p.m. and giving away cash and prizes. Remember the Home Building and Remodeling Expo January 16th and 17th at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake. Get more information at homeshowevent.com. That's homeshowevent.com.
Turnkey IT.
Oh, you don't want to know what we were talking about just now.
We've got a story coming up.
Oh, we have a story for you.
Well, it's on par with the vaginal speaker. I'll just say that. Turnkey IT is a name you've come to know and trust on AM 560. Turnkey IT provides small businesses with IT resources that are normally reserved for Fortune 500 companies. They provide world-class network installations and ongoing IT support for fixed monthly rates based on the size of your network. In fact, Turnkey IT has a program that fits the needs of your business. Turnkey IT understands that your business matters and that keeping you focused on it makes all the difference in the world. Best of all, their service can save you time and money. Turnkey IT can give you the peace of mind that backups are being executed, email is always available, files are secure, and you've got someone to call when you need help. Turnkey IT has people who are professional, friendly, on time, and a live person even answers the phone 24 hours a day. So visit turnkey.pro today for a plan that fits your needs. That's turnkey.pro. Coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, coming
no,
up.
I'm not saying it.
I'll tell you what.
I'm not going there.
We covered the vaginal speaker yesterday, and in the interest of quality, we'll cover the bionic penis at 8:48.
But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's a happy Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Shower, 39 degrees. And there were some happy faces this morning in the Labor Department. Their employer report says they added 292,000 jobs to the U.S. economy as the unemployment rate held steady at 5%, they say. The figure higher than some economists expected. The monthly job report shows the biggest gains were in professional and business services. Authorities in Germany say at least 18 asylum seekers are suspects in a series of robberies and assaults in Cologne during New Year's. The Interior Ministry says they're among 31 suspected of the crimes, but none of the 31 are suspected, according to authorities, of committing some of the 120 reported sexual assaults that are prompting outrage in Germany. The Brussels prosecutor's office says a December raid discovered 3 homemade belts that officials say could have been used to transport explosives for the Paris attacks. Investigators also found a fingerprint matching that of Salah Abdel Salam, a fugitive wanted in connection with the attacks. Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz says the arrests of 2 Middle Eastern refugees on separate terror-related charges in America should be a wake-up call.
These arrests, and these are federal arrests by the Obama Justice Department, underscore the profound danger that is facing this country from radical Islamic terrorism. ISIS has declared war on America.
Speaking in Iowa yesterday, Cruz said there needs to be a practice in place to prevent further refugees already living in the United States from going back and forth between the U.S. and Middle East. You still have time to get those tickets for the largest lottery jackpot in U.S. history, an estimated $700 million in total, your chances of winning. About 1 in 300 million. Authorities say a flight from New York to Chicago diverted to Detroit due to a disruptive passenger who was taken off the flight. That flight went back into the air around 9 last night and arrived about an hour late at O'Hare. An attorney for the Texas state trooper charged with perjury in the arrest of Former area resident Sandra Bland says his client is appealing his termination. Larkin Eakin said Thursday the termination of Trooper Brian Encinia, announced by the Texas Department of Public Safety, is unwarranted. And a Naperville fast food restaurant is about to start selling the meatiest hamburger around. It's a place called Wayback Burgers, a restaurant set to open this spring on Showplace Drive. It will feature a hamburger with 9 patties called the Triple Triple. Every year, the eatery conducts a nationwide contest to see who can eat the stacked sandwich the fastest. Illinois' first Wayback Burgers chain will begin taking applications to fill 20 working positions sometime in February. Chicago sports, NBA last night, Bulls over Boston, 101-92. Michigan State topped Illinois in the Big Ten, 79-54. The news, a service of the Foundation for a Better Life. Mr. Rogers passed along friendship, hoping we would too. Friendship, pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher explains the fanatical support of Donald Trump.
They think there's a guy who will finally do what he says he's going to do. Unlike Mitch McConnell, go down the list of failures, the refusal to defund Obamacare after promising they would. Over and over again, you know how let down Americans feel with the Republican Party.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
If you're aged 59 and a half or older with the 401k plan and still working, stop what you're doing and call Arlington Capital Management at 855-471-5796. They'll help you actively manage your 401k, show you strategies to avoid major declines, and capitalize on opportunities. There are benefits with age, and this is one of them. At 59 and a half, you're entitled to new opportunities in the investment world that can dramatically improve your results and even lower your fees. Call 855-471-5796 now and take the first step toward getting more out of your retirement assets. The team at Arlington Capital Management proactively explores the market, our economy, and all of the variables that offset your investments. Call 855-471-5796 now for a complimentary consultation. That's 855-471-5796 or visit arlington-capital.com. You worked hard to accumulate your nest egg. Now, it's time to put your money to work for you.
8:36 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy has delays from Montrose to the Burn Circle. It's an hour from O'Hare to downtown, 50 minutes from Montrose, 33 on the Express. Outbound slow Montrose to Cumberland, 35 minutes downtown to the airport. Edens, 20 minutes Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 22. The Eisenhower's an hour from Thorndale to downtown, 44 minutes from Manheim, outbound 59 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 37. The Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, tied up Wilson to Fullerton. Northbound Tri-State, heavy from the Stevenson to 31st. Reagan Tollway to 290. Adams Tollway, slow Barrington Road to 53. Veterans Memorial, slow 63rd to the Reagan Tollway. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Low clouds and fog with rain and drizzle this day, high 42. More fog and a little evening rain, low 37 overnight. 39 right now. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Hey, don't be caught without the facts. Listen to me, Sean Hannity, this afternoon at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, Amy, you remember in 2012, President Obama's re-election, the campaign came up with this Orwellian avatar named Julia, this fictional young woman who was like a graphic artist with a kid, but she was unmarried and she couldn't afford $9 a month for contraception, and all kinds of other characteristics that were to appeal to this new coalition that President Obama put together, representing 50% plus
her.
one.
Yeah.
Well,
tug at my heartstrings.
Well,
kidding.
Grandmama Clinton has done him one better. She's come up with an actual young lady. The age, there's a discrepancy on the age. I've got 8 years old and a Daily Caller piece on it.
I've got from Hillary Clinton's website. It says she's 12. But...
Well, Hillary Clinton's a liar, so we'll go with 8. 8-year-old,
She looks old.
8-year-old Olivia in a new Hillary Clinton campaign video, the self-described little feminist that's supporting Grandmama Clinton.
My name is Olivia. I'm a little feminist growing up to help all women with equal rights. I have 2 dads. I go to a school for kids with learning disabilities, and I wish that there were more public schools that can help kids with dyslexia like me. I hope you can be the first woman president of the whole United States. By the way, I'm really glad that there is now gay marriage legal all around the whole 50 states of America. I would be completely willing to help you out after school. I bet I would be the youngest member of your campaign.
And she'll also be the youngest member of Hillary Clinton's cabinet, I'm sure, as well, if little Olivia can propel Hillary to the White House, because she's going to need all the pandering and help that she can get.
Earlier, you called this child abuse.
Well, I mean, how low can you go? The Clintons always find a new low, of course. And
she wrote Hillary that letter, and then the Hillary campaign found her and had her, go through a day in the life of Olivia and how she, travels with her dad to Brooklyn to go to this special needs school.
Her dad's plural.
Yes.
I'm sure it was all organic, of course. And she's going to need Olivia because I don't think Bill is doing her much help on the campaign trail. But let's talk a little POTUS politics. We're now joined by Reed Epstein. He's the lead writer for the Wall Street Journal's Washington Wire. Reed, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you.
And so will Olivia be enough to propel Hillary Clinton to the White House if she's indicted in 60 days, which is what one former U.S. Attorney, Joe DeGenova, said yesterday. Do you have any sense that the FBI investigation, once it's complete, is going to get anywhere near an actual criminal indictment of Hillary Clinton?
I got to tell you guys, I spent all week in Iowa chasing Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio around. So this is actually the first I've heard of Olivia since I've been so focused on the Republicans on this during this campaign.
Well, were you moved by what we played for you?
Moved might be one word for it.
Yes, that's one word. No, but what about this prediction about the Hillary Clinton email investigation? There was 66 more classified messages that were released yesterday, the latest batch. And one includes an email where Hillary apparently tells her top advisor, Jake Sullivan, to send secure information through insecure means. I mean, does this FBI investigation go anywhere, do you think?
I don't know. I'll tell you, Marco Rubio, who is in the Senate and on a couple, not on committees overseeing this, but on the Intelligence Committee, and certainly somebody who would have good reason to know certainly more than you and I about this, was asked about this at a town hall meeting I was at on Tuesday in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And he said there that folks shouldn't hold their breath waiting for an indictment of Hillary Clinton, that he doesn't expect it to happen, and that people should be worried about what the next president is going to do come January of 2017.
Now, Donald Trump has been, making some noise trying to get Ted Cruz to take himself to court over his eligibility question about his birth certificate. Does this end here?
Not his birth certificate.
No, his birth certificate. His place of birth.
Yeah. And Cruz has gotten a little annoyed about this, but not so much that he is willing to really punch back at Donald Trump. And that seems to be sort of the game here for Trump, is to draw Cruz into a real back and forth sort of from television studios and campaign stops, because everybody who's gotten into one of those with Trump has lost. We've seen it hurt Jeb Bush. Rick Perry's not in the race anymore. John Kasich and Rand Paul really weren't helped by it. And all what Trump has been able to do with each of these other candidates is really knock them off their game to the point where all they're talking about is Trump. And Cruz really just refuses to take that bait.
Yesterday it was actually rather entertaining what Cruz did. Trump is making the case, and Cruz uses it as an opportunity to attack Rubio. So John McCain's asking about my citizenship because he's supporting Marco Rubio, so it's their fault.
And there is nobody in this campaign who is better at staying on their prescribed message than Ted Cruz. He is so good at talking about exactly what he wants to talk about and rejecting the premise of any question that he thinks is not something that he wants to talk about. Whether the premise of the question is valid or not, Cruz just outright rejects the premise if it's not something that he wants to talk about.
And the other problem that Rubio has is not just Ted Cruz finding ways to take shots at him. He's getting kind of squeezed a little bit. So he's got Ted Cruz making the case against Rubio. He's also has Chris Christie making the case against Rubio because Christie's trying to, supplant him in third position in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, Rubio's in a real interesting spot because he is both trying to be the standard bearer for sort of the business establishment, moderate, whatever sort of word you want to use, that often is a pejorative in a lot of places, wing of the party. But he's also competing hard in Iowa for social conservative voters. He put out an ad this week of him talking about his religious faith, which is a terribly unsubtle ad, sort of trying to win over evangelicals in Iowa, and at the same time he's still competing with Christie and Bush and taking shots from them that are sort of more geared towards the New Hampshire voter. And so what we've got then for Rubio is somebody who isn't sort of the first. He's not the first choice of any of the particular wings of the party, and whether he can pick up enough support from each of the different buckets in order to have respectable finishes is something that we're going to find out in a few weeks.
So, Iowa caucuses 24 days from today, and you said you've been hanging out with Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. How does Ted Cruz feel? What's his demeanor?
Cruz is I've seen Cruz for a few years now, and he is pretty much the same at one stop as you'd see him anywhere as far as his demeanor. He is somebody who is really sure that what he's saying is correct, and not just correct, but the only way. And so that's really how he presents himself. There's not a whole lot of difference between Ted Cruz in Sibley, Iowa, and Ted Cruz at the Heritage Foundation in Washington, or Ted Cruz somewhere else in the country. It's the same Ted Cruz. Now, part of Ted Cruz's issue in Iowa, though, now at this point he is sort of the undisputed leader and favorite to win, like you said, 3.5 weeks out. But he's got some vulnerabilities. We had a story in the Wall Street Journal yesterday about his fight with the ethanol industry. He has promised to eliminate a federal mandate that requires a certain percentage of corn and soybean ethanol be blended into gasolines. He took a lot of questions from Iowa farmers and people in the ag industry at his town hall meetings, asking him why he's opposed to that, and he's had to explain it many times over just this week to people in Iowa.
Yeah, but it's interesting just on that point, on that issue. That's part of the appeal of Cruz, is that he is not doing what most politicians do who are not from Iowa, go to Iowa and pander on issues like ethanol. He's holding his ground.
Well, and that's going to be the real test, is can somebody go to Iowa and tell Iowa farmers that he is going to eliminate this government mandate on ethanol that is, for a lot of farmers in Iowa and then a big part of the economy, a real lifeline for them. You talk to people involved in the industry there, and they say it would really be terribly damaging to Iowa's economy to not have this. If Cruz goes in and wins while being opposed to the renewable fuel standard, whether he wins the White House or not, and no matter what happens to this ethanol mandate in Congress, it really makes it so so that no candidate who runs for president has to go and pander to the Iowa ag industry again, because Cruz will have shown that that you can win without doing so.
He is Reed Epstein, lead writer for the Wall Street Journal's Washington Wire, covering the presidential campaign. Reed, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A lot of news in the weather department. We have low clouds right now, some fog, rain on and off throughout the day, a high of 42 degrees. And then Saturday, the snow begins anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, a high of 38 degrees. And on Sunday, a morning flurry, otherwise windy, cold, brisk, a high of 20. Travel times, here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy and Dan. Kennedy inbound 55 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 35. Edens, 20 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 22. The Eisenhower, 1 hour from Thorndale to downtown, at 44 minutes from Manheim, outbound 54 to Thorndale. Stevenson, 54 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 38. The Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown, southbound Lakeshore Drive, slow Wilson to Fullerton. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan tollway to 290. Eastbound Adams tollway, heavy Barrington to 53, and southbound 53 has delays, Rand to Kirchhoff. I'm Jim Talamonte, the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to do what Amy did when Amy needed a mortgage, and that's called David Hochberg at Pearl Mortgage. Harry, veteran, was told he'd have to wait until 2017 to secure a VA loan after being foreclosed on in 2016. Wrong. Harry didn't think this was right, so he called David for advice, which he should have done in the first place, of course. David first thanked Harry for his service and then informed him that he'd only have to wait 2 and not 3 years after his name was removed from the title of his previous home to secure a VA loan. When purchasing a home, you have 2 options. You can waste your time calling your banker who has limited market knowledge and expertise, or you can do what Amy did and Harry ultimately did, and that's call David at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Or you can visit am560david.com. That's am560david.com. David's helped Amy and Harry and thousands of AM560 listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call. So call David, 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage license C4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com/licensing.
I'm amazed. I want to say thank you to Balance of Nature. You guys are awesome. God bless you. The reason I have so much enthusiasm is because I speak as a person who has investigated the things that are out there. What I see is that there's many, many people telling the same story, and it's ruining it for the people who really are true. You know, up until this point, I had a lot of doubt whether, you know, I have an instinct that there should be something you can spend some money on and get something good, and I hadn't found it, and I believe I have found it this time. So, again, awesome, and thank you.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Hi, my name is Ed Bryant. You may have heard Dan Proft talk about me as Pastor Ed Bryant at thegunsafetyguy.com. I teach gun safety and defense classes, but they can't save us from our own mortality. So as a pastor, I teach the class that means the most to me and makes everything else look trivial. I'm talking about my class on basic biblical Christianity. We take a subject-by-subject tour of the Bible and examine such questions as, is there a God and how do we know? And what distinguishes Christianity from other faiths and from just being spiritual? And the main question, how can this Jesus born in Bethlehem really deal with our mortality? We connect the birth of Christ with his death and resurrection and ultimately face the question, is it true? Sign up for an introductory session on Thursday evening, January 21st at St. Timothy Lutheran Church in Lombard. For more info, go to sttimothy.org and click on the Basic Biblical Christianity icon. Again, that's SAINT Timothy.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
Dan and Amy, Amy, this story comes to us from across the pond.
It's a real doozy of a story here, Dan.
The man with a bionic penis will lose his virginity to a dominatrix who ran for parliament.
Here's a guy who's not afraid of his penis.
That's right.
Well, his penis actually was ripped off during a road accident when he was a young lad, 8 years old.
Well, bionic.
And hit the
6 years old.
Okay.
Now let's first of all, Bionic Penis, great band name. Secondly, here's what happened. Mohammed Abed from Edinburgh was run over when he was 6 years old in Huddersfield. That's back in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready, gentlemen.
This is the details you might want to leave out, but go ahead, Dan.
I'm kind of crossing my legs. During the accident, his penis was sliced off as he was dragged 600 feet by a car. Hey, guys, can we go? My penis is back there. Can we go back and get my penis?
Can you imagine being the evidence technician showing up at that scene?
Bag it! Mr. Abad had surgery to fit a fully functional 8-inch bionic penis in 2012. Now, 8 inches. I mean, isn't that overkill? That's 4 times the size of the average man's penis, isn't it? Say yes. Please say yes.
Yes, Dan.
Thank you.
Yes, Dan, it is.
Oof.
But the organs have 2 tubes which inflate when he presses a button on his heathen.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to let you stick to explaining this. Then what happened, Dan?
Well, Mr. Bott said he's waited long enough for this, that is losing his virginity. It'd be a great start for both him and his bionic penis to 2016. Mr. Abad reports some good news. His penis working perfectly now, so he just wants to do it. He's really excited. Hopefully not too excited. And he can't wait for it to finally happen. The paramour, the aforesaid dominatrix who ran for parliament, she's a sexual freedom campaigner named Charlotte Rose.
I'm going to Google her right now. Charlotte Rose. I'm sure that's not a made-up name.
Charlotte Rose,
name of her first cat and the street she grew up on.
Yeah, of course.
Charlotte Rose.
You know what? My back like Sylvester Stallone when I was trying to make it in the entertainment industry, pay bills. I went under the pseudonym Alonzo Hardcore. Rose is a 35-year-old who won the British Erotic Award for Sex Worker of the Year in 2013, so she's award-winning. Ran for MP, member of the parliament, in the election in 2014, but she was not successful. She's a mother of 2. And
she's not.
She's a mother of 2. And here's something
she has to feed her children.
Well, here's something very nice that Charlotte Rose is doing. She's waiving her usual £200 an hour fee because, according to Charlotte Rose, she's so honored that Mr. Abad, the bionic penis, chose me to take his virginity. We are planning to have a dinner date so we can get to know each other, then 2 hours of private time. I'm not charging him. I'm happy to help build up his confidence. You know what this bionic penis could use? A speaker. Don't you think?
You mean the vaginal speaker? Brought to you by KTEL.
Bionic penis, interestingly, was also Bill Clinton's Secret Service name.
What's that noise?
I don't hear anything.
It's coming out of your pants.
It makes a noise like that water heater we had in that timeshare at Deer Valley. I'm not making this up, Nadine.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The secret to how the rich keep getting richer is by passing down their wealth generation to generation. If you do the same thing, you'll be leaving a legacy and be doing one of the most important things possible for the people you love. The ugly truth is if you don't have an estate plan, everything you own, including your house, cars, investments, everything could be tied up in courts for a year or longer. It could cost your estate tens of thousands of dollars in probate and legal fees, even double government taxation. You can avoid this painful, costly mistake by contacting Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group. Tom hosts the Alpha Wealth Hour, heard Saturday mornings at 9 here on AM 560 The Answer, and has been a featured expert on Fox Business, Fortune, and Money Magazine. Right now, Alpha Wealth Group is offering you a free estate planning kit if you call 630-873-6326. That's 630-873-6326. Once again, 630-873-6326.
The only defense between your family and another harsh Chicago winter is your roof. For 3 generations, the Lindholm family has been keeping Chicagoland homes safe and protected from the elements, even in the winter. They specialize in exterior needs from roofing, windows, brickwork, gutters, and siding. So start the new year off right by calling 888-4-ROOFER. That's 888-4-ROOFER. There's still time to inspect that roof or window. In fact, roofing and windows can be installed in cooler weather, and most jobs can be done the same day. So don't wait until you have an emergency on your hands. Call Lindholm Roofing at 888-4-ROOFER. That's 888, the number 4, ROOFER. Or visit lindholmroofing.com. Lindholm Roofing, their family has your family covered. And Lindholm Roofing is a proud sponsor of Feed the Children.
Hey, I have rhythm. I love to dance, and I've been told that I dance pretty well. But I'm also totally blind, which means that sometimes my circadian rhythms can get totally out of step with the world around me. Circadian rhythms are regulated by our internal master body clock. But because I can't perceive light, my body clock simply doesn't know what time it is. This can have me wide awake in the middle of the night and fighting to stay awake during the day. That can affect relationships and make it difficult to be productive at work. And it can make every day a real challenge. It's not my imagination. It's called non-24, and it affects up to 70% of people who are totally blind. So if you're like me, you're not alone, and there is hope. Call 855-856-2424 today, or visit learnmorenon24.com to find out more about non-24. Because learning more about non-24 is the first step to getting your rhythm back.
Sponsored by Vanda Pharmaceuticals.
Thank you so much for making us a part of your week. Thanks to David Stripling, the technical director.
Bionic penis on your mind, I think.
And Caesar Perez, the executive producer.
Shake and bake.
And we'll see you back here Monday morning, 5 a.m. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Now let's go back into the newsroom and say hello again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching this morning. Some heavy fog developing across the area. Classes resuming at Lane Tech High School after yesterday's bomb scare, but there is extra security on hand. Black firefighters in Chicago want a review of the fire department by the feds. Mayor Rahm Emanuel says, yes, there will be a review of the city's law department, and that those low clouds and fog with occasional drizzle gumming up the works. Jim Talamonte is along with an update on traffic. WIND Chicago News Time is 9 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. You're hired. A lot of Americans heard that last month. 292,000 jobs created.